Peter Louis Myberg says he received a text from Magolane to ask for a private meeting.
So this was in early June. I got a WhatsApp from Pasha Magolane, the IDD spokesperson, and it was quite out of the blue, I must say. At that point, I didn't have any media queries submitted to the IDT for any work that was coming out at that point. But what was happening was that I was looking into a IDT contract that appeared to be linked to a property.
Testing. Good morning. How's everyone this morning?
And it was very clear.
You've braved the traffic to get here. Thank you very much. My name is Clive Moachi. I am one of the executive producers for 702. We're really, really happy that you're here and that you joining us this morning for the People's Dialogue with Clement. It's going to be a live broadcast, so I'm just here just before we start in a few minutes, just to give you a few house rules. The first thing being, I'm sure when you came in, you saw that there are restrooms. So if you want to go to the restrooms, as you go out the store, it's on your right. So the first door on your right, you'll see the males and the female restrooms. That's where you can go. However, you cannot go during the show. So as you know, every half an hour there's news. So that's when you'll have time for a quick sort of loo break, 9:30, 10, and so forth. So that's the one thing. The other thing is that we will be broadcasting live. So not only are we going to be on 702, we're also going to be on Clement's YouTube page, and we're also going to be on Primedia Plus. So I'm just going to ask that, and I know this won't be an issue, so no eating during the broadcasting and so forth. We do have some drinks and coffee at the back, so please feel free to help yourself during the course of the 3 hours. And just in terms of the dialogue today, the purpose of the dialogue is really to have conversations, right? Conversations with our listeners, unfiltered conversations with our listeners. And the only thing I'm going to ask is that we, follow protocol just in terms of allowing someone to speak and finish their trail of thought, no interruptions, and the like. So that's one of the things. But in terms of the show today, as I said, we're going to be covering different aspects, so different themes that are going to be explored. So Clement will be facilitating the discussions. It's going to be very robust, so I encourage you to come forth with your views, with your sentiments, and let's make this a worthwhile experience for everyone. If you have any questions for me at this point, please feel free to ask. But yet again, I really do want to thank you guys for taking time out of your busy mornings and lives to really come here and brave the Sandton traffic to spend the morning with us today. Thank you so much. If there's any questions, I am here, but we're just about to start in a few minutes. Thank you.
Custody since Friday, the Barberton Magistrates Court is working through cases in stages. Monke Zikoko. Eyewitness News, Barberton.
And Rwanda is the latest African country that's willing to take in people deported from the U.S. The 250 migrants are part of a deportation deal agreed with Washington. President Donald Trump's administration has negotiated controversial arrangements to send people to third countries, among them South Sudan and Eswatini, in order to speed up deportations. This follows a cancelled agreement with Britain under which Kigali would have received deported illegal migrants from the UK. But that multi-million agreement was scrapped after the Conservative British government that negotiated it lost last year's elections. Gold is trading at $3,353.32 an ounce. The rand is at 18.05 to the dollar, 23.96 to the pound, 20.82 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.76 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got bumper-to-bumper delays on the N3 North. That's between Vincent Chabalala Road and Marlborough Drive due to a major accident scene. There's also queuing traffic on the M1 South between the Baklu Interchange and Marlborough Drive while heading towards Sandton. Do expect delays on the M1 North due to that earlier accident that happened near Corler Drive, causing delays coming out of Houghton Drive.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 22 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Daily Maverick has exposed an apparent attempt by the suspended CEO of the Independent Development Trust to bribe one of the publication's journalists to kill a story.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
What are the matters that matter to you?
702 listens.
Before the president holds his national dialogue,
We're holding this one with you. The People's Dialogue.
with Clement Manyathela on 702.
Eight minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to this special edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. I hope you are well from wherever you're listening to us from. It's so great that you could join us here on 702 this morning. More so because today we're doing what we normally do on the 702 open line between 9 and 10 o'clock, where we discuss a variety of issues and we try to solve them. Except today, we are extending that 702 open line for the entire 3 hours of the show. And as opposed to entirely talking to you over the phone or on WhatsApp or on YouTube, we're doing it face to face and we're calling it the People's Dialogue. So welcome to the People's Dialogue, a forum that seeks to bring together South Africans from all walks of life, from various formations, a forum that seeks to talk frankly about the challenges that we are facing as a country and look at the potential solutions. We didn't invite any politicians here or any government officials as guests. We just want to have a conversation amongst ourselves, a conversation about this country that we love so much. Where do we find ourselves as a nation? How did we get here? And what are the challenges that are facing us and that are derailing us? And how do we solve them? And where are we heading? And as we know, a conversation is often a starting point to finding solutions to problems. So welcome to all of you that have joined us here today to help us reflect on our challenges and find solutions. Trust me, those that are in power are listening. So welcome to the People's Dialogue.
Dear Mr. President,
We'd like a word.
the people have something to say
The People's Dialogue.
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
So remember to watch this People's Dialogue on YouTube. You just go to the 702 YouTube page. If you're listening to us on the radio and you're wondering, I want to see this take place, just Google 702 YouTube page and you will find this dialogue. You also welcome to join this People's Dialogue by calling us on 011-883-0702. You can send your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Now, we have so many challenges in this country, and I imagine you're probably listening and wondering, where do we even begin? We have crime that has gone out of control. Unemployment is at its highest. Our education system needs fixing, including infrastructure in rural areas. Our race relations haven't improved much. Institutional racism is still very much a part of our reality. We have housing issues, delays there, and corruption in the system. We have a plethora of issues within the health system. Land reform is still slow. Service delivery is a mess, even though the Johannesburg mayor gives himself 8 out of 10. This is what he told me when he was on the Clement Manyathela Show last week, which is quite a joke because that's not what we experience as the residents of Johannesburg. So we're going to dedicate every half hour of the show over the next 3 hours to two of the biggest issues that many of us have suggested. You've suggested them to us to discuss on the People's Dialogue. So each 30 minutes, we're going to be dedicating two of those biggest issues to discuss. And I just want you to be very comfortable. Call us, send us a WhatsApp voice note, but raise your hand to have an input about whatever issue that we are discussing. It's 12 minutes now after 9 o'clock. We're going to start the People's Dialogue after this.
Dear Mr. President,
Lend us your ears.
the people have something to say
The People's Dialogue.
on the Clement Manyathela Show. Africa Milani,
Weekday mornings.
4 to 6.
Just to be clear, do you owe any money to any landlords who are accommodating students, either who are attending universities or TVET colleges in South Africa?
The relationship we have with landlord, the payment process is a monthly process. In that kind of a relationship, it's ongoing. Landlords submit their claims monthly and payments get made.
There are students who are staying in accommodation that NSFAS is not paying for because of reasons that are valid. Ishmael Nisi speaking on behalf of the National Student Financial Aid Scheme.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
What is Overtrail? Is it off the beaten path, over the edge of comfort, or the thrill of the road less taken? It's over every bridge, every obstacle, every trail, and over to that view that takes your breath away. Overtrail means going further, exploring deeper, surrounded by the comfort and sophistication of a luxury SUV. It's this spirit that inspired the Overtrail project. Experience Overtrail in the LX and GX range. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Hey besties! Welcome to my kitchen tour, or should I say, my new walk-in wardrobe. Over here, we have the pantry, now home to my jeans and shirts, all color-coded. Oh, and the air fryer, literally the perfect place for my makeup brushes. And who would have thought? The oven is the place to store my handbags.
Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai way.
There's power in a single partner who helps you build a better employee benefits strategy. Begin with retirement, the foundation of securing your employee's future. Now layer in everyday health, mental wellness, and financial balance. And finally, essential protection for life's curveballs, from illness to income loss. Now that sounds like a complete benefit strategy, one that protects your people and powers your business. Talk to us at employeebenefits@oldmutual.com about Old Mutual Corporate's integrated employee benefits solutions. Old Mutual Corporate is a division of Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited, a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Franchise your future with the vision to invest, the mindset to follow a proven system, and the drive to grow something of your own. Meet the minds behind smart investments and proven franchise success on Franchise Your Future with Relebohile Mabocha, brought to you by Cash Converters on 702. Plus, you could win 10,000 Rand to kickstart your journey to franchise your future. Hit primemediaplus.com right now. Then, every Tuesday from 1 p.m., catch Franchise Your Future on Afternoons with Relebohile Mabocha, brought to you by Cash Converters. Your money, your momentum on 702. Let's walk the talk.
This isn't a press release.
It's not a media briefing.
It's the voice of the people.
The People's Dialogue
on the Clement Manyathela Show
on 702.
It's 16 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome to the People's Dialogue. It's so exciting to do the extended 702 open line and see the faces, right? And have a conversation with people, seeing them face to face, as opposed to just over the phone or with you guys sending us your WhatsApp voice notes. So on the People's Dialogue this morning, we are having a conversation about a variety of issues, if you've just joined us. And one of the issues I want us to start with is, of course, corruption. But before we get there, so here on 702, we, of course, sort of have a sense of what are the issues that affect 702 lenders. But I think when we have a People's Dialogue like this, it's important for us to get a sense of what are the issues affecting other communities. And I see we've got Mfanelo Zanibe from Tembisa Online, who is joining us here for the People's Dialogue. And I want to get a sense from you, Mfanelo, what are the people complaining most about on Tembisa Online when they're calling in? What are the biggest issues they have? Good morning.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everybody, and good morning to the listeners. As you have said, Mfanelo Tzanibam from Tembisa Online is a journalist. There's a variety of issues around Tembisa and also Ivory Park, Midrand and places surrounding, which one is a very concerning matter of dumped fetus, like your illegal abortions. Almost every week we have a dumped fetus in Tembisa and around. So those are some of the issues which
almost every week.
Almost every week. And I'm only accounting on issues that we can only be able to attend the scene or be able to be told about. There's a lot or plenty that we might not have covered on our news. So some you'll find them being dumped and even banned. Some they will be put into plastic bags. Some they will be put into nearby streams. Also, yeah, it's a lot. If you might just say Tembisa online, you might see there's a lot of dumped fetuses, which I think is a concerning issue on illegal on abortions, and also an awareness, if it can be created mostly on teenage pregnancy and everybody. And also it goes to the Department of Health to say, are you doing enough in terms of awareness at the hospitals? And why are the teenagers not going to hospitals? Because obviously abortion is now free, and also it is advisable that it's within the law. So maybe it might be an attitude from the nurses, or maybe people might be charged. So those are some of the issues. And also, Tembisa and Ivory Park has become one of the hotspots in terms of hijacking. A lot of vehicles being hijacked, you'll find it in Ivory Park. It's becoming a norm. You know, they don't have a specific car that they take. They can take as little as a Fiat Palio, and you will find it being dumped somewhere. Obviously, those are crimes which are trio crimes. Obviously, when there's an hijacking, you will find there's a gun used, people might be shot and everything. So also, vigilantism. Last week on Thursdays, there's 3 people who were burned to death, and specifically Winnie Mandela from Zone 8, 10, 3. People are now responding with vigilantism in terms of the crime that is happening around Tembisa. You might find that within a month, you might be having 5 people being burnt down. Talking about the reality, because I'm always on the scene. I'm not talking about I've heard on the news or what. I am the first responder most often at the crime scene. So, yes.
Sure, yeah, that is quite something. And that just tells you about the confidence that the community members have in the police. And we'll talk about that when we start discussing crime. I want us this morning to start the conversation with corruption, precisely because, and I don't know if some of you have seen the story on the Daily Maverick this morning. It's actually quite shocking. The CEO of the IDT was caught bribing, her and her spokesperson were caught on camera bribing Peter Louis Meyerbeck, who is the investigative journalist for Daily Maverick. It's shocking, but it tells you how brazen corruption is. It shows you how blunt these people are. It concerns me on the one hand because that means that they've probably done it before. Why did they do it with such ease? How do you take 60,000 Rand out of your bag and you just offer it to a journalist? That's crazy. So I wonder if they've not done it before. But 2, I wonder if the law enforcement agencies are going to pick up on this. So this is where I want us to begin. So if you've got something to say about where we find ourselves in as far as corruption is concerned, we've got some roving mics, and I'll start with a representative from Outer. How are you doing, my brother?
Always a pleasure, Clement.
Always a pleasure. Please just give us your name and surname. And yeah, let's talk about corruption. How did we get here, and how do we get out of it?
Thank you. Julius Kleinans, I'm executive manager at Outer. And it's quite brutal. If you look about, while government's talking about the national dialogue now, it's 700 million Rand for a chat. We don't need another chat. We need action.
I can tell you we spent less than 700 million Rand for this dialogue.
No, exactly, and that's the reality. So, you don't need another dialogue. You can literally just get your shoes dirty and start seeing how people are suffering. And that's a sad case. So I think, firstly, South Africa has no shortage of laws and policies and even commissions for fighting corruption. It's really a lack of political will. Corruption is not being defeated by new frameworks. It's thriving because of the absence of consequence. And I think that is really why we're sitting where we are. There's always been sufficient funds in South Africa to address the wrongs of the past. It's the leaders that has had the ability and responsibility, the custodianship, who were bad stewards in ensuring that we can get freed up and ensure that we live in a corrupt-free South Africa where everyone can prosper. So it's become a space, and I think the former President Zuma boasted about the thousands of millionaires that was created under his reign. And it's not necessarily productive salaries that were created. And it's really the coffers of tax that's been stolen. So I think another big problem is how the influence of state capture has broken the system up and opened it up for freedom of corruption. If you look at the lack of investigative capacity in the police service, obviously if there's a crime, someone needs to investigate it, get the facts, and that needs to be positioned in such a way where you can actually prosecute someone. We know that the NPA has been infiltrated as well. And till this day, a lot of those people are still in those positions of power and influence. So for as long as we don't have the political will and the leaders who are bold enough to take action, regardless of who's in power, we won't see a difference, the difference we need to see.
Yeah. How do we see the difference? Does anybody else want to talk about the issue of corruption? We can bring the mic over here. Because I get what you mean about the lack of accountability. For as long as, I mean, do we know any prominent politician who's in orange overalls? Any of us? I mean, John Block in the Northern Cape, but who else? Isn't that a problem? Like when we talk about corruption and politicians, we just saw someone on Sunday, a video of someone offering a bribe. And the question is, are we ever going to see them in orange overalls? Because that's just the tip of the iceberg. Peter Louis Mayberg has published so many stories about this woman and the trail of money. But are we going to see her in orange overalls? And why do we not see that? Like at what point are we going to say we are actually dealing with crime? Go ahead, brother.
Hello, my name is Lawrence. I am a concerned citizen and a parent and a father of 2 boys. And what I wanted to add on what Mr. there said is the level of investigation of crimes, whether it starts at the bottom as a first officer responding to a crime or a call-out. I think that the level of policing needs to be improved at the bottom. As day one, when you walk into the police college, we need to look for a different kind of person, a different kind of custodian. What is profound for me is that there's a lot of people that want to be police officers. Look, for instance, the last intake where they had the applications online, where over 1 million people applied for 5,000 posts. And we really do need that million, So I think to corruption to get lesser and the impact to start is to get more police on the ground and also to train them in a different way, to be custodians of law enforcement and love for people and the country.
Isn't the problem, though, that most of the police officers, I mean, I've got cousins who have applied to be police officers, not because they love it, not because they want to serve, but because they are unemployed. They need a job. And I think that's an issue for me, because if you don't have the love and you don't understand why you're a police officer and you actually grasp the responsibility you have as a law enforcement officer, then you're easily going to be taking and giving out bribes.
And that's the problem that we have. I come from a family where my father was in the police and my mother was in the police. My father also died in service. So I completely understand how it is to have a passion for law and a passion for people. So we need those kind of people. I want to put something bluntly out there, is that many people that get into such eligible job opportunities, I'm not sure if they get it in an honest way, and that to me is one of the first places where something needs to change. when you want to serve your country or your parliament or your organization, it needs to be in your heart. You mustn't buy a job from somewhere. Not that anybody's buying, but there's many ways. I think that's where it starts. It starts at the bottom. It starts with our young generations. And then lastly, many job opportunities that come out these days says 18 to 35. You know, I'm a little bit older than that. It's becoming difficult, you know, to compete. And you don't have any direction to go to get a proper job. That's why some people just take a job that's there. And then they take the wrong job. I think it starts there, at the bottom, and to get the right people for the right job, like specifically talking about police officers, you need to be blue in your heart to do this job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've heard, let's get somebody else on corruption. I've heard some listeners raise the issue of age, that we are almost like the door is closed on us because we are older than the bracket, you know. And of course, the conversation then is, where do we prioritize? Like, you know, which age group is mostly affected by the issue of unemployment? And we'll talk about that when we discuss unemployment. But that's a legitimate concern that I know has been raised several times on the show. My brother, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, there you go. Okay. My name is Monwabi Sidwenbas. I'm from Treatment Action Campaign based in Gauteng. So the issue of corruption, I think it's our biggest enemy in the country when it comes to progress, because it manifests in different degrees. I will only tackle one dimension, you know, that happens under public health care, where we see, corruption manifesting itself through bribery, kickbacks, issues that relates to inflated healthcare bills, issues that relates to employment corruption, issues that deals with procurement irregularities. But I can give a myriad of examples. I mean, Tembisa Hospital is one of them, where R1 billion actually was stolen, and nobody is in incarceration as we speak right now, except for those who were ordered to kill Babita. Diokaran, and I mean that case is still dragging as well. And then also you check in other hospitals as well, you realize that actually for those who are awarding tenders, they always expect kickbacks, and that hinders the provision of quality health care. And that's the biggest problem. Unfortunately, nobody of significance that has been arrested for such. So that means the very same people that we trust, whom now we've lost that rapport with, are actually complicit, right? So if you look at the value chain, you will find politicians being there, the people who are quite formidable in business, also being part of the very same cartel, if you like, and that's the biggest problem. And I still don't know what is to be done, because the very same police whom we entrusted them with that particular responsibility to be able to restore justice, but are the ones who are actually in the pockets of those who are actually participating in that particular cartel. So that's the biggest problem. And so as Treatment Action Campaign, we are concerned about such, really.
Yeah, and in fact, Dr. de Kock is here with us. We've spoken to you many times as a policing expert.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to, as this gentleman said, be blue in the heart. And we're not seeing a lot of that, and that's the beginning of the problem.
Maybe just a little bit of my background. I was a researcher at the Human Science Research Council, joined the police in '95 as the head of the Crime Information Analysis Center, and then retired in 2013, but I still do my analysis every day. And I'm doing consulting work. I just now want to stick to corruption, because otherwise I get involved in the crime discussion. That will be later. On corruption, I think there's a basic problem. Point number one, I think people join public service on all levels, local up to national, police, all departments. They join it and think, as you have said, sometimes they don't get another work, so they join that. And they think they're going to get rich. You can't join the police service and think you're going to get rich, even if you become a general eventually. I mean, it's a salary that you can live with quite well. There's no shortage of nothing. But the thing is, people think they can become rich, and then corruption starts to creep in, because that's the big money. Not the salary, but the money that can be made on the side. And unfortunately, in South Africa, we have become very materialistic. We compete with the neighbors. We must have a bigger car, bigger house. We must have 5 houses, not only one. And we have become more materialistic. I always said the American society is the most materialistic, but I think we are far ahead now. I think they've lost us, or we lost them. That's one issue. The second issue is that materialism and a lack of patriotism. We don't do anything for the country. It is what is in it for me. Now, if we have that attitude, we can just as well even close the doors of the police service.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Yeah, we can clap to that. It's okay. All right, it's 9:33. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. We'll come back and continue the conversation as part of our People's Dialogue. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. As South Africa prepares for its first ever national dialogue, former IEC chairperson Dr. Brigalia Bam says the country's electoral system has to change. Bam, the first African woman to be appointed to the body which oversees elections, says South Africa copied a system that doesn't best serve its people. As it stands, South Africans vote parties into power, who in turn appoint representatives to serve at their behest. Members of Municipal Workers Union SAMU are marching in Tshwane over salary increases. The union says it will submit its memorandum to municipal officials to demand clarity of disputed increases of between 3.4 and 5.4%. The union says its members are not satisfied with what the employer is offering. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged Washington to ramp up pressure on Russia to end its invasion during a visit to Moscow by U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff. Zelensky says it's important to strengthen all the levers of the arsenal of the United States, Europe and the G20 so that a ceasefire comes into effect immediately. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Amu, how are the cars moving on the roads?
Well, they are stuck in traffic, Clement. Good morning. There's an accident reported in Bryanston along the N1 South, right near Malibongo Drive. Delays coming out of Winnie Mandela Drive. The N1 North is also affected due to the scene. If you're traveling in Bedfordview or towards Bedfordview, do expect heavy traffic volumes on the N12 as well as the R24 West between Edenville Road and the Kilulis Interchange, while heading towards Amalgam. Traffic remains very slow on the M2 West between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. Traffic lights are out of order in 4 ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Leslie. They're also out in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek, bound to cause some delays. Please be on the lookout there. We'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Do you want to buy a Honda? Cars.co.za. Toyota or Mahindra? Cars.co.za. Do you want to sell a Cherry? Cars.co.za. Suzuki or Mercedes? Cars.co.za. Polo, Kia, Mitsubishi, Havel, Hyundai, Lamborghini. Buy and sell, it's very easy. All you got to do is type Cars.co.za. 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 Let's find what moves you. Cars.co.za. Cars.co.za.
Enjoy the soothing sounds of the Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra at the opening concert of their early spring symphony season under the baton of popular conductor Ayan Teen, featuring dynamic classical trumpeter Dingaan Chabalala. The program includes Bizet's Carmen Suite and Voshag's Popular Symphony No. 6, Thursday the 7th of August at 7:30 p.m. at the Linda Auditorium. Tickets available through Quicket.
It all starts with advice from FNB Private. Because the perfect overseas trip starts with planning. Save and spend in multiple currencies with your FNB Global account and lock in exchange rates. Enjoy up to 40% off flights with eBucks Travel. And order Forex on the FNB app delivered to you at no extra cost. Your adventure awaits. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TC's earn rules and limits apply.
Miranda is feeling very distressed. She's as bald as a billiard ball. This must be the work of her fancy new name brand shampoo.
No.
She bought it because of an ad, which read, buy one and get one best hair free. But because the dumb ad had neglected to add, buy one and get one best hair free, for free.
What?
Miranda washed her hair in hair removal cream. Now, Miranda's going to need therapy
Lots.
and some new hats. Report misleading ads to the Advertising Regulatory Board at arb.org.za.
Dear Mr. President,
We'd like a word.
the people have something to say.
The People's Dialogue.
On the Clement Manyathela Show.
22 minutes before 10 o'clock, you are listening to the special edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. This is the People's Dialogue. I'm doing the open line, but I can see the people I'm talking to. This is so cool, actually. I think I should do radio more like this. I think this is an idea. We should talk to the bosses to have an audience every time we do radio. It's so much fun interacting with people when you can see them. All right, we are also interacting with you. If you're listening to us, maybe you're driving to work, you're at the office, you're at home, you can send us your WhatsApp voice notes on 072-702-1702. Let's hear what some of you have had to say based on the conversation we've had so far.
Morning, Clement. Morning to your listeners as well. You know, the solution to our problem in South Africa, these old men must give chance to younger people, to young bloods. They had enough money, they made enough money, they had enough time. Let them be removed and give young blood a chance, please.
Good morning, Clement, and thanks for the People's Dialogue. Can we push for subs and metro police all over the country to introduce body cams in order to monitor our law enforcement officers to get rid of the core of corruption? Can we just have body cams? It's Mario. I'm in Patlu. Thank you.
Clement, good morning. I trust you well. Look, majority of our problems in South Africa are as a result of politics. Most of our socio-economic circumstances that we find ourselves in are as a result of politics, because the political elite is not interested in taking this country forward. Yeah, that would be my input. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your inputs. Let's go to Bongi, who's calling us from Kyalami. Bongi, good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Hi, go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Yes, I just wanted to say that the point I want to make regarding corruption, it really all depends on us as individuals. The day we stop being willing to pay bribes is when corruption will end. Secondly, when it comes to littering, it's each and every one of us who has to take the responsibility and say, I will not throw a piece of paper or cardboard out of the window, because there isn't anyone who's going to come and pick up after myself. In that way, we will have better and cleaner looking environment. So I think a lot of these issues that we point to government officials for actually start with us.
Absolutely.
We stop being willing to pay bribes, then we're going to solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, that's so important, Bongi. I mean, how often do we think of the challenges and we are quick to blame, but we don't take self-accountability? Bongi in Kailami, thank you so much for your call. Let me wrap up the conversation on corruption with you, my brother, and then we'll move to unemployment. Okay, I'll come to you also quickly. Corruption as well? Sure, corruption is an issue, Miss. Okay, we need to move to unemployment. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, then we move to unemployment, yeah? Let's try be quick, because we want to try and cover as many topics as possible.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, good morning, everybody.
Sure.
Yes, good morning, Clement.
Sure, good morning.
Yes, yeah, you are right. It's fun here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we wish to see things like this more often. And I also like to say, it sounds good, the national dialogue. We're beginning to see that maybe something good might come out of this. We don't want to come here and ventilate for nothing. It will be saving if there will be action. What we want the most is that whatever grievance we are bringing here, they must be attended to. this is the first, I think, dialogue that we are having. There will be another, I think, in December in Pretoria in the Union Building. I like to tell you, Clement, I want to be one of the first also there to ventilate. Yes. Clement, there are huge problems here in South Africa, including corruption. Corruption is really corroding all of us. We are all victims of it. I am part of the victims. And sometimes I even think that maybe I'm one of the most victimized. Clement, I have a situation. First, I like to talk about my situation. While I was going through history, I realized that there is more to me and my family than I thought. My family have a legacy that has not been properly honored by this government. So immediately after I realized this, I went from one office to another. I went beginning with the local, beginning with my local municipality.
What legacy are we talking about? Is it land?
You won't believe it. It is more like land, but you won't believe it when I tell you that I am talking about Eden in South Africa. That land where I'm staying, where I was born, that is an Eden in South Africa. But it has never been, and my sister happens to be the Black Queen Elizabeth. It's a matter that needs to be investigated. I went to many departments. I went to the local. I wrote to the mayor, the local mayor. He hasn't responded to me.
Okay.
I sent him 3 emails. I went to the province. I went to the premier of the Free State.
They haven't. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this.
Right up to President Ramaphosa.
Yeah, let me tell. Hold on. Let me tell you this. We're going to talk about issues of housing and land later on. So we'll bring it back there.
Yes,
that's
the corruption I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's the corruption I'm talking about. It is costing us a lot because now that land I'm talking about has got the power to empower. In fact, has got the potential to empower the people around.
But there's been corruption there in the system.
But because of the corruption, our state institutions that are supposed to be accountable, they are not. I mean, even the president, I sent him 3 emails. He hasn't responded. I sent emails to the Nelson Mandela Foundation. 3 of them, they haven't responded.
We'll talk about
and
that.
They are the people who know a lot about that more than anybody else.
We will. In fact, I spoke to...
Because Nelson Mandela is part of it.
Yeah, I spoke to the presidency this morning. I know they're listening right now. So when we talk about land, we'll come back to that issue. Let's move the mic now, and then let's... 2 more or 3 more to go, so we can get to unemployment. Yes, go ahead, ma.
Yeah, I'm Lindiwe.
Hi, Lindiwe.
A concerned citizen.
Yes.
I agree with the point that the doctor made, that it's about patriotism. You don't even feel it from the politicians. You don't. And the bottom line is that politicians don't care. They really don't care. I mean, an example, 2 actually, Paul Mashatile's irresponsible response to when the lotto was awarded. He's like, where are my friends and family supposed to do business? You can't respond like that. You cannot. You know, Dada Morero giving himself an 8 out of 10 when Joburg is such a mess. Right now, the finance minister, the finance minister is asking him about the 24 billion rand that's wasted. Where did it go when Joburg is such a cesspit, you know? And they just operate with impunity. They don't care. The police, you know, you get JMPD roadblocks. They're not there for the right reasons to enforce the law. They're there to get bribes. I mean, I remember as a child growing up, when traffic officers stopped the car, they would go check the brakes, check the indicators, whatever. In my entire...
They used to do that?
They used to do that.
I've never seen that.
Never. It doesn't happen. Like, are your brakes working? I mean, look at all the unroadworthy cars on the road. They're supposed to... Basic things that are supposed to happen do not happen.
Dr. Diko, is that really a thing? They used to do that, traffic cops? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's not what... They check your license disc?
That's the disc that they check to make sure
that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But brakes, indicators, lights, wipers working? No.
Wow.
You know, so those are the basic things that we need for things to happen, you know? And then for looking at us now as citizens, are we active citizens? Here is Dada Morero, who has spent 24 billion rand, we don't know where. Are we demanding answers from them enough? Or do we just get enraged in the moment and then we move on to the next drama that happens the next day and forget about what has happened in the past, you know? So it's terrible. I mean, look at the Tembisa community last week. There was that 150 rand surcharge that was added to the electricity. They protested. And you know what happened? It went away. So, yeah.
That tells
we
you.
also need to be active citizens.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
My name is Pumzile Chifinyise from the National Planning Commission.
Hi.
I think I'm extremely excited at this platform and to hear so many inputs that are being raised by citizens. And I think as the NPC, we think that it's an opportunity for us to look at the emerging issues that we can take into consideration, especially if we're looking at the NDP that is coming to an end in 2030. So what issues can we take into the process of planning for the country's long-term development plan after 2030 has come? And I think for me, from this morning, I've already realized that how the declining performance of the economy has got such a ripple effect onto our socio-economic landscape with regards to crime and corruption. There's not a week that doesn't go by when we hear of how human trafficking has now become commercialized. Kids being stolen, mutilated for body parts. And for me, it's just how do you fix the declining moral decay in society? I mean, for you to be able to gain money from killing a child, from kidnapping a girl, from, you know, all of these stories that we hear on a daily basis. So yes, I think all of the inputs that have been made about how we can solve the police force and all of the institutional challenges that even has got a ripple effect onto the amount of jobs, the number of jobs that we need to provide a solution for. But how do we fix something that's so intangible, like Ubuntu and moral decay? You know, how do you do that as a person? You know, commercialize and benefit from the killing of a next person, you know. So I think for me, the national dialogue was an opportunity to fix all of the socio-economic challenges and the economy as well, but also some of those intangibles, such as moral decay.
How do we fix that? Because I am interested in that, because I'm struggling with that as well. Because I used to look at religious institutions. I used to look at the churches, or I used to look at the family unit. You know, the American systems, you know, focuses a lot on their family unit and how that's the bedrock. How do we do that here in South Africa? Because the churches themselves are compromised, right? We've got pastors that are just making lots of money from people. They're basically stealing money from people. And I'm really still struggling internally with how do we fix something like that, where we just need to go back to Ubuntu and understand that you can't do that to the next person. It's not who we are as a human species. And I don't know, if anybody has some solution to that, please come through.
Yes.
You had your hand up as well. Yes. It was on.
Thank you so much, Clement. I am Dr. Stanley Maposa from Devoted Citizen under Reverend Chris Matebula. I think if we can go back and just define corruption in our African languages, we would say ukubola, it's rottenness. I don't know what other languages would say it is. But the crux of the matter is corruption is a supply and demand thing, that the person that gives a bribe is because the other one wants to get it. And let's look at ourselves from all angles and say, as an individual, are you not propagating corruption in the way you do business, in the way you do anything that you do? And as devoted citizen, our cry and our issue is that corruption is not only political. It is moral, it is an ethical behavior that we need to be addressing, all of us. And we're looking at the story that you talked about Peter. How many would you have done differently if they were in the position that Peter was?
Yeah.
How many would you have received that 60,000 and say they are given by God or they are given by ancestors when they were supposed to be reporting that particular issue? And we need to be giving Peter an award for what he has done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Was there somebody else right at the back? Yes, over. Oh, here. Oh, there's the mic. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. My name is Vuyelwa.
Hello,
I'm
Vuyelwa.
a mother, I'm a concerned citizen, and I'm a new grandmother. I'm glad about the question that you posed in terms of what can be done, and you were also saying that you're also curious about that. But for me, we as a country, we've got a lot of shared trauma, whether it's across racial lines and across all aspects of being a society and a humanity. And I think the solutions we normally come to, for instance, we say corruption, and then we'll find a solution that will be almost a plaster instead of going to the depth of the thing of our humanity. And so I think that even when the government-led dialogue, people's dialogue, I think there should be an aspect of looking at the spirit of our South Africanness, the heads, the things that make us do levels of crime that go beyond humanity, that seem to not even be, we don't able to make sense of them, that a person could even think of looking at a child, looking at another person and seeing, oh, there's a body part, there's a lungs that I can sell, there's something, it's just horrible. And for me, it goes with the pain and the deep traumas that we haven't dealt with. Even in 1994, we proceeded and said Rainbow Nation, but we did not go to the core of our psyche. We did not go in terms of what is it that is going to rebuild us as a people so that we can even have a shared vision. So there's a spiritual aspect to us because most of us agree that we are body, mind, soul, spirit. Most of us and most religions, if you were to go to that, agree that there's a spiritual aspect. So I think South Africa needs to heal at a level that's going to produce fruits that now we agree that now we are being human. Even at the level of starting at ECD level, teaching kids about just being human. You don't look at another kid and want to bully them. You know, so it goes deeper.
And Terry's here. We're going to talk when we talk about race relations. And I think that's a very important aspect. We've just moved on. We've just moved on and we have not taken time to look at what are the wounds and how do we heal them. Because even the kids that are coming up now, they need to know about the wounds of the past and how mistakes must not be repeated. That's going to be part of some of the issues we're going to discuss. Over to you, brother.
Thank you, Clement. Good morning, everyone. The name is Oscar. The lady who spoke just before me, I think she must have read my mind. In preparing to come here, I was asking myself, what would be my contribution? And it's exactly latching on to that particular point. I think we missed the golden opportunity, 1994 and the years just after 1994, to get society together across racial lines, across social lines, very deliberately. I think as a country, we were too comfortable hoping that government would do that. We now know 30-odd years later that government will not do that. I think it's never too late for society, us as ordinary people on the ground, to reach out to each other. We live in different communities. Our communities are now somewhat integrated since there's no Group Areas Act, but I think there's still a lot of opportunity for us to reach out. Black and white people reach out across the street. We have an example of Alex and the northern suburbs. I see in my mind a situation where ordinary people reach out into different communities. There's a lot we can share. There's a lot we can share in terms of education, business, for example. We can share so much without hoping and waiting for government to do that for us. And I think if we do that, it's more grounded. You know, I decided in my area to start a dialogue of some sort where I'm bringing together colored, Indian, black and white people, ordinary people, where we'll meet regularly and just talk about issues, you know, find each other, you know, inviting my white friends to come to my township, sit with me, eat what I eat and engage with life the way I engage with it. And I think that's a better, tangible, practical solution.
Yeah.
We don't need to wait for government because we now know that that's going to take time and it might not happen. And I'm talking about engagement across all sectors, education, religion. I believe that many churches, most churches are still led by people with morals. And let's reach out to each other at that level in our sports group. For example, in schools, we only have ex-Model C schools and township schools meeting 3-4 times a year when it's athletics, and then we all go away and hope everything will fall into place. Why don't we have cultural exchanges between schools? Why don't we have cultural exchanges in our community-based organizations? And I think there is a more sustainable solution.
I couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much. Thank you. What was that slogan back in the day? Vukuzenzele. Like, get up and do it yourself, because otherwise you're going to be waiting forever and ever. I need to take some WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702. Let's hear what some of you have had to say.
Morning, Clements. I'll never forget the speech Barbara Hogan gave when they had the memorial service downtown Johannesburg for Ahmed Kathrada. She spoke about how hubris our politicians have become, that they don't see the millions of people who are in the street, who are eking out a living by scratching through dustbins and collecting recyclables and then walking 18 to 25 kilometers per day to earn a measly 100 to 200 rand. Now, if that does not encompass what we are going through as a country, I don't know what does.
Good morning, Clement. Andrew from Soshanguve. A good show once more. The challenges that South Africa, communities of South Africa, we know them. It's crime, it's common challenges, it's crime, then it's sewage spilling all over, roads, electricity. To me, we need just to get the government working and reduce this talking and producing documents that we don't implement the recommendation thereof. I don't know. It's a frustration to the community. It's a frustration to everyone. Good show once more. Thank you.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
My name is Olinea, and what I love about 702 is the Clement Manyathela Show. I didn't think that I would see Clement today.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
You're an expert in your business. Well, Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for law firms, real estate agencies, computer services, and more. Over 100,000 businesses across various industries trust them. Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get an out bonus of up to 10% of your paid premiums back. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Let me get this right, Ron. You're a plumber by day and Pretoria's smoothest wedding DJ by night.
Yeah, it started out as a passion and now I've got bookings until December. And a smoke machine that needs its own seatbelt.
And you sold your car to buy a van through We Buy Cars.
Bro, it was music to my ears. Zero admin, no long queues. They pulled in, checked it out, and before I knew it, I had cash in the bank.
Now that's a banger. We Buy Cars. Geared for your passion, geared for you.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. As South Africa prepares for its first ever national dialogue, former IEC chairperson Dr. Brigalia Bam says the country's electoral system has to change. Bam, the first African woman to be appointed to the body, says South Africa copied a system that doesn't best serve its people. As it stands, South Africans vote parties into power and in turn representatives to serve at their behest. BAM, speaking on EWN's Politricking with Tsidi Madia, says this is no way to hold public representatives accountable. Tsidi Madia has more.
While Dr. Brigalia Bam still lauds the 94 breakthrough, calling it a celebration of the country's freedom, she firmly believes a series of mistakes during South Africa's formative years have led to the current downward trajectory.
Don't blame us for having done it that way, because we copied from others, but we didn't know that this system will not suit our particular context.
BAM, the eldest member of the National Dialogue's Eminent Persons Group, says the dialogue gives South Africans a real opportunity to have a say in what must happen next. This, as she shunts how the current electoral system allows for accountability to be evaded.
Wrong, your party says, don't do it again, okay? We're going to continue to pay you your salary until the end of your term. Listen, don't do it again.
She said while many might be cynical, she hopes South Africans take up the opportunity to get involved in not only talking, but working to turn the country around. Tsidi Madia, Eyewitness News.
Members of Municipal Workers Union SAMU are marching in Tshwane over salary increases. The union says it will submit its memorandum to municipal officials to demand clarity of the disputed increases of between 3.4 and 5.4%. The union says its members are not satisfied with what the employer is offering. SAMU's Donald Monakisi says another issue to be raised is the grading of the 2013 Metro Police intake.
Amongst these two, we've got other issues at Metro Police that has to do with the unifix for the pregnant women. We've got the 2013 intake of the Metro Police there that has been placed on a wrong grading. So those are issues that will form part of our march today.
More than 50 illegal miners who were arrested at the Sheba Gold Mine over the past 2 days are expected to appear before the Barberton Magistrates Court today. The latest group emerged after spending days hiding in the mine underground to evade police. It comes days after the mass arrest of 494 Zamazamas last Friday. Mongezi Koko reports.
The latest groups of 24 and 30 surfaced under different circumstances, some walking out voluntarily, others escorted by private security after being found in the depths. Of the original 494 arrested on Friday, only 26, all South African with verified addresses, were granted bail. The rest remain behind bars. Police spokesperson Donald Mgluli says more miners may still be underground.
Because within 48 hours, one should appear before court after being arrested. So we are working with the prosecutors to ensure that the arrested appear.
With more than 550 people taken into custody since Friday, the Barberton Magistrates Court is working through cases in stages. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News, Barberton.
And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged Washington to ramp up pressure on Russia to end its invasion during a visit to Moscow by U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff. Zelensky says it's important to strengthen all the controls in the arsenal of the U.S., Europe and the G7 so that a ceasefire comes into effect immediately. Witkoff arrived in Moscow today, where he will meet with Russian leadership as President Donald Trump's deadline to impose fresh sanctions over Russia's offensive on Ukraine looms. The White House has not outlined specific actions it plans to take on Friday, but Trump has previously threatened to impose secondary tariffs targeting Russia's remaining trade partners such as China and India. Gold is trading at $3,353.32 an ounce. The rand is at 18.05 to the dollar, 23.96 to the pound, 20.82 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.76 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we still have got that accident on the N1 South, right near Malibongwe Drive. Delays coming out of Winnie Mandela Drive. Please be on the lookout and drive with care. If you're traveling along the N12 as well as the R24 West, delays between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 22 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, as South Africa prepares for its first ever national dialogue Former IEC chairperson Dr. Brigalia Bam says the country's electoral system has to change.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. 702.
We're listening to you. Before the president holds his national dialogue,
We're holding this one with you. The People's Dialogue.
with Clement Manyathela on 702.
Eight minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Thank you for listening to the People's Dialogue. We are hosting the People's Dialogue here at Primedia House. We've got a number of people joining us here, and we are talking about this country that we love so much as concerned mothers, fathers, citizens, professionals, and we are reflecting on where we find ourselves. What are the challenges that are facing us right now, and what are the potential solutions as well? You can also join this conversation on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. I know there were some hands that were raised earlier on. Don't worry, we'll bring the mics to you. Remember, we still have 2 more hours. It's like an extended open line, so we are going to get time to talk. It's just that sometimes with time pressures, I need to go to the news. But don't worry, we still have 2 more hours to talk about some of the issues that have been raised and the additional ones that we'll bring on the table. I know there was an intersection of issues in the previous hour. We've spoken about policing, we've spoken about corruption, we've spoken about the need for accountability. So there's a lot that came up in the first hour of our People's Dialogue. And what I would like us to also touch on this hour, in fact, in this first 30 minutes, is maybe the issue of unemployment. Maybe we can touch on economic transformation. And I would want us to also focus a little bit more on crime. I know we touched a little bit on it, but that's also a big issue for us in this country. Crime is a serious issue, and it doesn't help when, Dr. de Kock, you've got police officers in the higher echelons fighting each other. That doesn't give me confidence. I mean, when I see a KZN commissioner or the national commissioner fighting with minister and the deputy national commissioner, that doesn't give me confidence that I'm safe. It doesn't give me confidence about the security that is supposed to be provided by the state. I worry because I'm thinking, are they focused on those issues, or are they actually focused on keeping us safe? So unemployment, economic transformation, and talk a little bit more about crime in this first 30 minutes, right, of the dialogue, and then we'll change tack after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Speaking of unemployment, I see Princess Majola, coordinator at the Assembly of the Unemployed. You are here with us. How big of a crisis is this? Because the thing with the unemployment as well is, for as long as our economy doesn't grow above 3%, for instance, we must forget about new jobs that are going to be created. How big is it as a crisis now, and are we finding any solutions? What are you seeing on the ground?
Thanks, Clement. Thanks for having me, and hi to everyone and the listeners. Yeah, we are living in a country with a high unemployment rate, where 62.5% of people who are unemployed are youth. And then we have plus minus 13 million people who are unemployed according to stats, with the 1 million being discouraged workers. Those are people who are between that bracket of 36 to 59 years. Because, I mean, when you apply for a job or looking for a job, you are told that you have to be in the age limit of 18 to 35 years. So, I mean, another thing, then we have a government where the elites think that people that are unemployed are supposed to be given 370 as a relief. Which, I mean, when you actually calculate this 370, what it means to an ordinary person, it's only 12 rand per day. What do you buy with 12 rand per day when you can't even buy a loaf of bread? But then we have them being there saying, at least we are doing something. So as the unemployed, as the Assembly of the Unemployed, we are advocating for 1.5. That would be paid as a basic income grant. We know that our government is talking about a basic income grant.
They've
but
been
yet,
talking about it.
Yes, but they're not implementing it. They are asking at how much, but whereas they know how much does it cost, I mean the upper poverty level, how much does it cost? We can start there. And that even the 1.5 that we're advocating for actually equates to 48 rand per day. It still doesn't do anything. It doesn't buy toiletries, it doesn't buy a proper nutritious meal. So it doesn't do anything. When you have them there in parliament, they are busy crying for a raise, an increase of their salaries. For what when they have PACs? Why are we not talking about their PACs, the PACs of the ministers or members of parliament being removed so that this can aid in this advocacy that we are fighting for? We are in a country that has unemployed graduates, a high number of unemployed graduates. We are having a crisis in the health sector where we have unemployed doctors who can't even do community service, but yet we have that 700 million that's going to be used for a talk shop. Why aren't they taking that 700 million and making sure that these retrenched teachers, these unemployed doctors, they get to be paid and then services are rendered? We are having 28 schools, I know, in Soweto that have been closed because they didn't meet a threshold of having adequate learners. Those schools can be reopened because, and teachers employed to teach this youth, 62.5% of youth that are unemployed, skills, because the curriculum that we have, the education curriculum that we have, doesn't even equip the learners with the skills that are needed today that will assist them in getting jobs in the future. So those buildings that have been closed, those school buildings that have been closed, do you know what's happening to them? They've been taken and hijacked by the same ward councillors who come from the ruling party, and people are being housed there. They've been turned into residential areas, and these ward councillors are collecting rent. When you question this, when you ask them, the Department of Infrastructure, no one knows, but they're still subsidizing this. I mean, if these schools don't meet the threshold, why weren't they demolished? Why are they still being used as residential areas? So this still adds to that thing of corruption. So normally they ask us, when you're advocating for 1.5, where are we going to get this money because South Africa doesn't have money? Then we're saying to them, tax the rich. What happened to corporate tax? We know there's illicit flows of tax that's happening. So that's where the money can be. We can get the money from. And like we said, remove the PACs, then there will be money for people to be employed.
And stop the corruption.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, if you tax, we can clap. If you tax the rich, then the conversation becomes what happens, for instance, I mean, did you say corporate tax or just the rich, not corporate tax? Don't increase corporate tax. Increase corporate tax. And then the companies are going to come and say, okay, then I'm going to lay off people because then I don't have the money to sustain that higher amount of corporate tax. All right, let's go to some more people. Hello, give us your name and surname, please. Go ahead.
Hi, Clement. My name is Tembeka.
Hello, Tembeka.
So I think, it's good to advocate for the money that the lady was speaking about. However, I don't know if I'm a graduate, right? I'd be okay with getting 1,500 every month instead of getting a job. I think we cannot take shortcuts in everything that we do because I think we're putting plasters on almost everything. You can't say it's okay to give people 350 or 370 or 1,500. Therefore, you are taking care of them. create jobs, guys. We need jobs, and we know there's the ways of doing jobs. I mean, when we were growing up, when I was growing up, there were technicals and technicons, right, where people were learning skills.
Where are they
My
now?
uncles, my late uncles were technicians, were electricians. They, you know, they didn't have to study degrees for years and years, but they did the work. We didn't struggle in the communities. When we needed an electrician, we had a certified electrician who was my uncle or neighbor, a plumber. So we need that back, you know, and we need to get the government to understand that you putting a plaster in us giving the 350 is not helping anyone. It's creating what we are seeing now. It's creating this huge unemployment where you have young people sitting in the sun. I mean, I work in the communities with these young people. Every time I talk to them, I'm like, why are you here? They will tell you, I have a degree, I have this and this, I've done so much, and yet I have no job. Everyone asks me for experience. Where are these organizations calling for interns to come and intern when they are finishing their universities? When are we creating structures that will really create jobs for the community, not want everyone to be a lawyer, a doctor, because we need people to use their hands.
Yeah.
And it's all good and well to say, let the government give them money, but I don't think that will be a solution to the problem we have with unemployment.
Oh, that's so true. So many hands will come to you. I do, every time I drive back home to the village, there used to be a technical, like a teacher's college. It doesn't operate anymore. All of those gone to the ground, and government is not focusing much on how do we resuscitate those, because as you say, there were skills that were created through that. My brother, go ahead.
Yeah, Dumelang.
Dumela.
Snega Konyana, I'm from Kagiso. I head my Kalani network, and I also represent Buambach. It's a social activism movement. I'm on economic transformation. My feeling is we are not moving economic transformation. I'll tell you why. And truth be told, ANC came up with good policies. Your BEE, they even came up with institutions to say, if you want to have a black person who was disadvantaged participating, you've got GEP, Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, you've got National Empowerment Fund to assist people so that the economy can transform. But what we're seeing same people who came with policies opposing their own policies. I'll give you a practical example. I'm from Kagiso. They are setting up a mall infrastructure with houses for about 5 billion, right? Then I said to them, if you're going to have a mall here and you don't talk to us, the affected communities, and you just want to build, you call us for a short turning, you've never even engaged us. Because I was saying you've got people who are selling on the street, your street vendors selling veggies and stuff. If you want to transform, take these mamas who are selling on the street, put them as a cooperative. When you have fruit and veg in that particular mall, you take local people to own something in that mall. If you're going to have franchises in a mall, anything that is franchisable, that's what we would have said in public participation to transform. Take anything that is franchisable. Take young people, put them in a groups of 10 or 20. They will own your KFC or Nando's, anything that is franchisable. Then you are transforming the economy because local people are owning the economy. Now what they are doing, the mayor said to me, we're going to have 100 shops. We'll have 3.5 houses and we'll have 2,000 jobs. But I said, who are going to own those shops? What we are supposed to have done as the local government, when the developer comes, you say to the developer, okay, we'll allow you to build here, but our condition is certain percentage of your mall. We must have equity in that mall. National Empowerment Fund has got money to fund so that local people can participate. But our own government, who came up with policies, are the one who are saying, they are even referring to me as a construction mafia, for only saying, take young people, let them own something in that mall. For the next 5 years, 10 years, you are able to say we've got a mall in Kagiso. 30% of that mall is owned by local people. You don't see that. They are the same people who are saying we'll call police on you, we'll do 1, 2, 3, and say we are not transforming because our own people are the one blocking
Isn't part
the
of the
transformation.
problem that someone will go take their cousin to come be part of those young people who supposedly represent the community? Because I've seen that many times.
They
where
do that.
They do. So a councillor, so a certain minister is going to call a comrade who is at the provincial level and say, hey, do you not have a councillor at Ako Soweto? Because
do you know,
we've got a project here, 100 million, and we have to give 30% to the local
Do
community.
you know why are they blocking us? So that their own brothers, like you are saying. And the developer said to us, I'll tell you this, the developer said to us, I am private, the 30% that you're talking about, I'm not going to abide by that. It is like, that's what he said, it is like a guy being told to marry a lady that he does not want. I'm not going to obliged to a 30%. He was saying that in front of the people who came up with the policy. They said nothing. And as it is, the developer will continue. The mall will be built. We are going to be exploited again as the buying power. And the only thing that we have as black people, I must say this, we've got the buying power. And we need not to toy with it. We must use it to bargain for the stake in the economy. But if our people are not protecting us, we are not going to transform. That's how I feel about the transformation.
Absolutely.
Thank
And
you.
we are not here to be participants in the economy. We're here to also be owners of the economy. Yeah, let's take the mic right at the back and over here as well. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, hi. My name is Ibanati Ngobo and I'm from Outer. I think intrinsically one of the things that we don't discuss is the failure between the government contract and us. Government has failed to create a very fertile ground for economic transformation and economic growth. And that's one of the few things that we don't talk about. And we have to talk about political deployment and the effects that it eventually has. We don't talk about the fact that majority of the people that are in government are not there because of competency, and they're not there because they can actually do the jobs that they need to be doing in order to create an economic viable South Africa. That's issue number one. And B, we don't hold them accountable. You know, we speak about the national dialogue, but intrinsically, what is the national dialogue? It's going to be another state Zondo commission where 10 years later, and after 2 years of wrapping it up, there's going to be recommendations, there's going to be another forensic report, but nothing will be done. Will there be any legal entity that will hold government accountable towards those recommendations? So I think when you speak about unemployment, we have to get to a point where we look at what are the measurable steps that we can take to hold the people that are in power accountable. And accountability is one of those things that we cannot remove.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ntabeleng. I'm from ABT Telecoms under Marketing and Communication Department. I want to touch on high unemployment rate because I'm one of the graduates that was affected the past year. So I want to touch a bit about corruption too, because I believe that unemployment and corruption are two related terms. If there's corruption, there's going to be high unemployment rate. So just like Mr. Lawrence said about SAPS, about the high number of the subs applications around July, that thing, it showed that we are so unemployed, because there are a lot of people who studied policing, diploma in policing, forensic, and law. Those people have got love for law enforcement. But then the problem is, on the job description, there's always something like grade 12 with license. I believe that those people that are just applying because they just qualify, but not because they've got love for law enforcement. What about those who did diploma in policing and law and forensics? Those people, they study that because they love and they want to save the country. So another thing is the experience. I mean, if I studied for 4 years, diploma or degree under certain field, you can't be saying I must have 3-year diploma or 4-year diploma and you want 5-year experience. Where am I going to take it? Because I'm fresh from university. So I think that is what is causing the high unemployment rate in South Africa. So I think they should, I think I should thank the companies that are doing the internships. Because if I'm from university, you give me like 12 months internship for training under what I studied. I think they should also employ us after maybe completing the internship. If they see that you did well in this, then I think that is an opportunity. I think I should say hi, big shout out to MSc CETA, Agri-CETA, because they're helping the graduates in terms of experience. Maybe after completing an internship, if I have got 2 years, because some of them are 24 months, and then I can have a degree and also 2-year experience of something that I studied for, then I can be employed in a big company. So I think the experience and also the love for something is what is killing us.
Absolutely.
Thank
Over
you.
to you.
Hi everyone, and hi Clement. I'm Koketso. I'm a farmer, and I sit on a community structure as a leader, and I've been there for about nearly 10 years. So, you know, I think at first I was one of those people, I was very skeptical, I won't lie, about the people's dialogue, the national dialogue, because I just thought it's just another talk show, you know, but I think in talking, there's also something very cathartic for the soul of the nation about talking, you know. And unfortunately, if you don't talk about our problems, how are you going to even start to unpack them? So the biggest problem that I think we face now is that citizens can see, and they can see the destruction everywhere. So I'll give you an example. Just this week, I was at a government department building in Pretoria. This government department building is about 14 levels, okay? in those 14 levels, they're only utilizing floor 11 to floor 14. Floor 1 to 13 has been abandoned by other government departments because maybe some comrade had a tender somewhere and then he wanted to put his own people there. So we need to also, in talking, also look at the very corrosive effect of the tender system in incapacitating the state over the past 30 years, right? Because, when I saw that, Clement, I went on the first floor, okay? And then I was like, there's no one here. Second floor, there's no one here. Up until another lady came on, I think on the 6th floor, and she says, no, the floors start from 11 to 14. So I said to her, I'm like, but why can't these people turn this place into low-cost housing, social housing, right? We've got a huge unemployment problem. We've got a huge housing problem. Why can't someone just see this thing and then say, let me act, let me convert these units into low-cost housing for people? Because we're talking about unemployment, but lack of housing and lack of ownership of property also entrenches indignity in people. And in South Africa, we've got a lot of people that just will never even have the prospect of owning their own home. And no one is looking to do anything about it, And for me, that's very, very heartbreaking, right? So in terms of the rural areas, you talked about crime. Crime in the rural areas is a scourge. Basically now what we're having is farmers are organizing themselves as militias now, okay? Because the police stations are under-resourced. They don't have enough police vehicles. It's a mess. So people are under siege. There's a lot of stock theft. People are being killed for their cattle. And it's on a very syndicated level because they're stealing grain from the silos. They're stealing stock, cattle and stuff. So farmers are under siege. And that's a real, real concern. And not even farmers, just people living in the rural areas. Grannies are being raped in the rural areas. Rural crime affects everyone. I live in a rural village, right? So I know at nighttime, if I want to be safe, 6 p.m., I must be indoors.
Sure.
Don't go outside there because the crime, the impunity with which people kill is really, really scary, right? And as I said, for me, economic transformation is being hindered by the corrosive tender system that what breaks my heart is that none of these political parties, these mainstream parties, want to do away with this tender system. It's completely hollowed out the state. It's incapacitated the state. A person, Clement, will charge you. I had won a farmer's prize to build a shade net. This shade net, the cost value of it is maybe about 170,000, right? A shade net is a structure that just has netting and poles. And this person charged the government 500,000. So you think to yourself, if everybody's going to inflate something that costs 200,000 and inflate it by 300,000, and this is happening consecutively for 30 years, what happens to the kitty of the state after 30 years of just this unabated, almost like looting based on this tender system?
Oh, when they want to buy pens.
Exactly.
They
Because
can't just go buy pens. They must go get...
We won't have anything now. And this is why you now see Treasury is literally, the bank now no longer has any money.
Yeah. Okay, so so much to unpack there. Let's go here quickly.
Thanks, Clement. Number one, I think we are here to say what the president needs to hear. And then going forward, I'll tell you my name after. Basically, what we don't want as a country currently, where we are at, we don't want a welfare state. What's happening now is that our purse is going to run dry, and we won't have anywhere to go to. Coming to your unemployment issue, for us to tackle unemployment like it was done back then, you might say I'm suffering from some Egypt symptom. I mean apartheid system. They could attract a lot of investment, and they managed to retain a lot of it. Hence, it was easy for them to create employment. So don't let us change the system and thinking of saying people should rely on the state. It's not sustainable. I'll give you examples. Look at the NDP, for example. They came up with very good policies. They said this and this must be done for us to achieve this. We all know what needs to be done. It's time for action. We no longer have time for talks and talks. What we need is to tell the president to say the welfare system must come to an end, and if you are to get it, it must be very, very difficult for you to get into the welfare system. It has collapsed the... Okay, let me not go on. My name is Mpo. I'm an activist from Brooklyn.
Okay. Mpo, thank you very much. I see there's reaction to that. I need to take the headlines, though. It's 10:31. So after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines, so much to say about the tender system, so much to say about what you've said about the welfare state. But I think there's a reaction here, so I'll get you guys to say it as opposed to I say it. So we'll do that after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Fiso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. South Africa prepares for its first ever national dialogue. Former IEC chairperson Dr. Brigalia Bam says the country's electoral system has to change. Bam, the first African woman to be appointed to the body, says South Africa copied a system that doesn't best serve its people. As it stands, South Africans vote parties into power, who in turn appoint representatives to serve at their behest. Members of Municipal Workers Union SAMU are marching in Tshwane over salary increases. The union says it will submit its memorandum to municipal officials to demand clarity of the disputed increases of between 3 and 5%. The union says its members are not satisfied with what the employer is offering. And Rwanda is the latest African country that's willing to take in people deported by the U.S. The 250 migrants are part of a deportation deal agreed with Washington. President Donald Trump's administration has negotiated controversial arrangements to send people to third countries, among them South Sudan and Eswatini, in order to speed up deportations. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
While traveling on the N3 North, we've got roadworks taking place in the Heriodale area right as you approach the Geldenhuys interchange, and they are causing delays. Please be on the lookout there. While on the N12 as well as the R24 West, traffic remains very slow. This is between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 South leaving Bryanston. This is due to an earlier accident near Malibongwe Drive, and traffic lights are still out of order in four ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Leslie, causing delays. They also out of order in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek. And if you're traveling in the city of Tshwane at this particular moment, there's some delays along the N1 South just as you approach the Flying Saucer interchange. We'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Experience a once-in-a-lifetime Women's Day celebration on the 9th of August at the iconic DP World Wanderers Stadium, featuring two Grammy Award-winning legends, Anthony Hamilton and Joe Thomas, alongside South Africa's own incredible Zonke, Sjava, and Vusinova, all live in concert. Enjoy this ultimate VIP experience with platinum and golden standing tickets. You'll get complimentary seating, private bars, exclusive restrooms, and the freedom to bring your own picnic blankets for a truly relaxed, intimate evening. So get ready for a soul-stirring night as the voices that have captured Mzansi's hearts bring the house down in true South African style. Get your tickets now on CompuTicket or webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Soulful Night, Vetex Events, and 702.
So we did a thing, a full commitment kind of thing. We've partnered with Sixt to bring worldwide to your doorstep. So you see how that's a serious thing, because that's what you deserve. We know you're the GOAT, so premium it is. Premium service, premium vehicles, premium you, premium us. Sani Sixt is all about adding extra to ordinary. Extra reach, extra countries, so you can be extra premium worldwide. Be the greatest of all time and rent Sani Sixt.
Welcome to the brand new days.
Sail the world with Norwegian Cruise Line, with more to see, more to do, and more to enjoy. Plus, upgrade your holiday with NCL's More at Sea for premium beverages, specialty dining, and much more. Think international cruising. Think NCL. For the best deals available, visit ncl.com or contact your travel agent. Restrictions apply.
Welcome to the brand new days.
Dear Mr. President,
We'd like a word.
the people have something to say.
The People's Dialogue.
On the Clement Manyathela Show.
24 minutes before 11 o'clock, this is the People's Dialogue here on the Clement Manyathela Show. It's a special edition of the show. We're having a conversation about a number of issues that are facing us as a nation, and we're trying to figure out how we can fix them. And I'm so glad to see that I know there are people listening, whether from the presidency, those that will be hosting the next dialogue, for instance, because they've been in touch with us. I'm glad to see the National Planning Commission here as well, because they must take whatever we say here and go plan it for the future. So you can also join us on 011-883-0702. Let's just go to your voice notes first on 072-702-1702.
Hey, morning, Clems. Get it? This unemployment grants we're getting as a country, the youth and whoever, it depends. It creates a dependency on the country, whereby the youth and other people, they're getting grants, and then there's child grants, and then there's free RDP houses, there's free healthcare. Those are important, yes, but now we're creating a dependency on the country. Why doesn't the government do something that can make people self-reliant? I don't know what program can be started that is sustainable, where there's actually people that know what they're doing to handle those sort of things. Because now, we're not doing a good job, Cook some Devland.
You know, everyone says that we don't have money, while profits have never been higher than they are right now. So again, we allow companies to get away with far too much, not just here, but worldwide.
Morning, Clement. How do we bring back manufacturing back into South Africa? Is there a way that government can aggressively look into that policy to protect manufacturing industry, nurture and grow manufacturing industry? We have subcontracted China to dump their cheap goods here, and they've killed and destroyed a lot of small towns that were manufacturing hubs of South Africa. How do we do that? China is supposedly our BRICS partner, but China is destroying a lot of local industries right now with cheap imports. Government should act very quickly. Not everyone is equipped to be in these office jobs and degreed and all that. We need to upskill our youth so that they can produce and make things. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember at some point manufacturing was number one. I had the statistician general on the show, Risenga Maluleke, and we were talking about how it fell from number one and then it went to number 4, and when it was number 1, it was a source of a lot of job creation. But unfortunately, that's now out of the window. Let's get some reaction quickly. I want us to talk about health as well before we get to 11 o'clock. So let's start there with you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for the platform, Clement. Yeah. Good morning to everyone. My name is Ntsapokazi Makipi. Yeah. I'm a very concerned mother for the future of South Africa, particularly the future of our children. So I just want to start off by saying that we often say young people should be given stuff and so on, but I want to say that power is not given. It is something that is taken, and that's one thing that we always need to think about. We can give the memorandums to the government to say this is what you need to do, but until and unless we are willing to challenge and actually want to take power, that's when we're going to start seeing the changes. So on the issue of unemployment, it's one of the things that made me to be in this development sector, where you look at the unemployment stats and you get heartbroken because almost 50% of the people that are seeking jobs don't have matric. And that tells you about the realities of a country that we live in. And that perpetuates the cycle of poverty, because a child that is born to a mother that is unemployed, chances are they're gonna fall into that trap. So then we ought to ask ourselves the question of, when we're saying almost half of the people that are looking for jobs do not have matric, what kind of jobs are we supposed to be creating? What type of economy are we supposed to be creating? And I often hear this thing of, if the economy grows, then there's going to be job creation. We are missing the point of looking at what actually grows the economy. The only way that economies grow is when new businesses are getting introduced. Because it's almost like we are all looking at corporates must hire. Corporates, there's only so much that they can do. But even when we're speaking about entrepreneurship, we're speaking about it as, it's a side hustle. But entrepreneurship can actually be used as a vehicle to solve the many challenges that we have. And so I want to say, in us looking even about the transformation, economic transformation, transformation is not this thing of putting black managers in existing companies. If we want to see a real transformation, we have to empower ourselves to start businesses. Now we're seeing that we're speaking about digital transformation, there's the green economy. I'm not hearing our government saying, how do we create those opportunities? We've got a problem of waste. That's a low-hanging fruit of saying, how do we develop our young people to be the ones that actually run these businesses? Because that's an economy of the future. And what I see with our politicians, and this is something that I also want you guys to think about, what if, and this is a big what if what we are witnessing is an end of liberation politics? I'm of the firm belief that we have reached the end of liberation politics, but the type of politics that will take us forward has not really emerged. So we need to start thinking about how does the politics of not fighting, and of building start forming shape so that we can take South Africa forward. Because this is our country, we are raising children, we are raising our grandchildren, and we don't want South Africa to fail. And previously we said, this is my last point, previously we were told that we've got a triple challenge in South Africa. I want to say we've got a quadruplet challenge now because crime is taking over. Because when you are unemployed, it leads to poverty, it leads to inequality, and then people then feel, I'm gonna go and take from the ones that have. So how do we start developing pragmatic solutions that will lift our country forward? Thank you.
Amazing. Over to you, ma'am.
Dumelang, to the listeners at home and to the house at large. My name is Ofente Modimieng. I'm from Kagiso. I represent an organization called Makalani Network, and I am the youth advocate there. I'd like to start with unemployment. According to Stats SA, in the first quarter of 2025, it shows that 50.2% of the young people make the working age population. And of that 50.2%, 45.1% is youth not in education, employment, nor training. This brings me to my next point. I think it is very important for private sector and public sector to come together in social cohesion. So social cohesion in the sense of NPOs or supporting NPOs that are providing skills, skills development, training centers that are providing trades like you mentioned earlier on. It is very important for the public sector rather, to help these NPOs in terms of accreditation, your CETAs and the likes, to ensure that communities are well equipped to provide skills to young people who will be competitive in the work environment, also in different sectors and industries. For example, when you look at the electrical industry, there's a lady that mentioned it earlier on. If your CETAs are supporting NPOs and skills development centers to provide them with accreditation, it will allow for young people to have accredited skills. For example, your trades, your electricity trades, your wireman's licensing and the likes. It will allow young people to be competitive, especially because you see young people who are sitting at home who don't have matrics, for example, don't have matric, barely have grade 9 even. But if there's a working system in our NPOs and skills development centers, it will allow for young people to be equipped with the adequate skills, not just any skills, because you have NPOs who provide skills but are not accredited. So you'll be a young person sitting with a certificate, maybe, for example, an entrepreneurship certificate, but it does not hold anything. So meaning even if you go and seek employment with that certificate, it's as good as not having anything at all. But if we have these government tools or instruments that are already in place, it's not something that is far-fetched. These are tools that are already in place and are supposed to be working, but just need to be monitored correctly, regulated, and intensified, especially in our disadvantaged communities. For example, I'm from an industrial community in Kagiso. I live right opposite Chamdo, where you have your SAB brewery, you have your Beta, you have your art mining equipment, you have your Tiger brands, your Hero Roto tanks. There's a lot of industrial companies that are right opposite us, but we don't see them taking part in any CSI or CSR to give back to the community and also provide employment for these young people who come from these skills development centers, because you get requirements where they say you must have 2 years, 3 years experience. Where are you going to get that from if these companies that are right in front of us are not giving young people an opportunity to do that?
Yeah, and I mean, they are required to do the CSI projects. Over to you.
Testing. Hi, Clement and everybody. My name is Lula Madlamini. I'm a patriotic South African and an avid Talk Radio 702 listener. So as part of the People's Dialogue and the National Dialogue, there's a very important community of our ecosystem, the journalists, that bring us the very news that we are really here for. You are one of them, Clement. We have Uputi from Tembisa radio station. Just for a moment, as he was talking, I just internalized and I put myself in his shoes to say, as he's going through his mobile phone now, what story is coming through, that he's going to be faced with yet another fetus. He's going to be faced with another body that's burnt. And I'm trying to figure out, as part of my comment is, what does that job description look like for you guys? Does it include, you've got to be able to face, and how articulate are your job descriptions? And having faced that, what you go through on a daily basis, what does it look like for being rehabilitated for the trauma that you go through? That at whatever stage we receive the news, what you guys have gone through at the very different levels of journalism, so that is a threat to that ecosystem, that part of our society. So yeah, that is just my
Which
comment.
is so critical to our constitutional democracy. If you're going to have people who are going to be scared to come and study journalism or even practice because of the trauma and how dangerous it is, because these days we even receive death threats because you've asked powerful people tough questions or because you are questioning things you shouldn't be questioning. So that's a great one. We'll come back to it. It's 11 minutes now before 11 o'clock.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Is this an approach we're going to see more of?
We use what you call situational appropriateness. You cooperate. When we stop you, you raise your hand, we arrest you for being possession of firearms and any other crime. You dare take arms and challenge us and try to shoot at us. You'll get and match what belongs to you. We are safe. The community must be happy. They'll be safe. No more criminals who are daring law enforcement.
Major General Fred Kakana.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age, or now also in a no-water-needed, fruity-flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and phlegmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. Dear Mr. President,
Lend us your ears.
the people have something to say
The People's Dialogue
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
9 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for all your comments. I see them on YouTube. I will read some of them because a lot of you are watching us now on YouTube. Thank you for your calls, your voice notes as well. We'll incorporate them as part of the People's Dialogue. Let me go to some more voices here at Primedia House. Over to you, brother. Go ahead.
Good day, everyone. My name is Mutwa Kumalo. I'm from Tembisa. I'm the secretary of Tembisa Stakeholders, and I'm the chairperson of Ubuntu Culture and Heritage Foundation. Basically, what we do in Tembisa as an entity, we intervene on service delivery issues and social issues for grandfathers and grandmothers, as well as orphans, because we've got child-headed families in Ivory Park and in Tembisa. I want to speak on I'm just going to try to combine the unemployment, the corruption issue, the poverty issue, and the issue of inequality. All these things are all man-made. I think the solution for us going forward is to unlearn certain things that we have learned for 31 years now. We need to unlearn and quickly relearn new things. We are currently we have introduced a program, which is a national program in Tembisa called Social Employment Fund. It is funded through IDC, and it assists school graduates and people who haven't managed to make it in academic skills. We place them in local factories, like in our local businesses, and then they get a stipend from IDC. So there are programs that are there that could mitigate some of these issues that we have. So what we need to do is to build an ecosystem of sharing information as quickly as possible and try to rephrase the term of government. The government, what we have done in our space is to say we are the government, the people of Tembisa. That's why we said no to the fixed tariff, because we attended to the NERSA public consultation in November last year. We made our inputs, but what we learned by participating in that is that most of these public participations, they are not really public participations, because most entities have got what they call negotiated price agreements. So meaning what NERSA charges an ordinary household family in Tembisa for electricity is different from what NERSA charges API or BMW for a same unit of electricity. And that NPI, that negotiated price agreement, is evergreen. It doesn't get affected. It's only the ESCOM executives and the company executives who knows the content of that price agreement, which they don't consult anybody. So when we said to City of Ekurhuleni no to the fixed charge, we understood what we are talking about, and it's based on research material, which is public knowledge. And we came from a background of saying NERSA's formula of allowing ESCOM these percentages, because when you add what ESCOM was advocating for, it ended up to getting to 66%. So meaning the ordinary grandmother was going to pay 66% for a unit of power, which corporates have got negotiated price agreements, which are evergreen, and they never participate in any public consultation. So these percentages don't affect the institutions. This is a reality. We were invited there to make inputs, but before we got there, as Tembisa stakeholders and Ubuntu culture, we had prepared a presentation. When we got to the presentation, ESCOM made their own presentation. We had to change our presentation because what ESCOM presented had nothing to do with electricity.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the accessibility of electricity, the availability of electricity, and the affordability of electricity. They never spoke into those things. They have what they call a 4-pillar plan. So that 4-pillar plan is focusing on their projects that they are involved in, their tenders, and so on and so forth. So basically, as community members, we need to take full responsibility of our personal lives and our community lives and our street lives. In closing, in 2006, we started a pilot project in KZN called the Virtual State Development Project. It's now 19 years old. It has changed young people's way of thinking. The young kids are adopted by the provincial legislature to understand how laws are put into place, because all of us are governed by laws. So our children need to understand how laws are done. So with this V-State concept, we started it in 2006 in KZN in Maritzburg with the Umsunduzi municipality. It's now in a couple of districts in KZN. And this year we partnered with the National Department of Fisheries and Forestry. We are doing aquaculture.
Yeah.
We are introducing it into schools as well. There are schools that the Department of Education had closed down. We are resuscitating those schools and turning them into centers of excellence and learning.
Yeah, that sounds like so incredible. That sounds amazing, because also to challenge those laws, I mean, we need to get young, when you say we are the government, we need to get young people to understand the structure of our politics and the laws so that they're able to also challenge them. I'll start with you, Dr. de Kock, after the break, please, if we can, because otherwise Abel is going to kill me. It's 2 minutes now before 11.
Hollywood Bets invites you to discover a world full of secret surprises with Spinozonke Mystery Parcel. You could win a share of 1 million rand in cash and bonus bets. Spin your way into spectacular success when you explore and bet 2 rand or more on selected Spinozonke games. Dive into scintillating suspense every Wednesday between 5:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. and Sunday from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Unlock your winning streak and bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Hey besties, welcome to my kitchen tour, or should I say my new walk-in wardrobe. Over here we have the pantry, now home to my jeans and shirts, all color-coded. Oh, and the air fryer, literally the perfect place for my makeup brushes. And who would have thought, the oven is the place to store my handbags.
Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thaiway.
The Standard Bank Joy of Jazz 2025 is diving deep into the heart and art of jazz. This year, the legendary Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra with Wynton Marsail are making a triumphant return to Johannesburg. Expect an unforgettable lineup with over 60 megastars gracing the stage, including Esperanza Spalding, Michelle Denjeshelo, Oma Sangarai, our very own Sia Makuzeni, Amanda Black, Vusi Mahlasela, and Tutuzo Makatini, the Benjamin Jafta Trio, and many more. Buy tickets to this incredible 3-day festival from the 26th to the 28th of September. Tickets are selling fast via Ticketmaster. Take me there.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. As South Africa prepares for its first ever national dialogue, former IEC chairperson Dr. Brigalia Bam says the country's electoral system has to change. Bam, the first African woman to be appointed to the body, says South Africa copied a system that doesn't best serve its people. As it stands, South Africans vote parties into power, who in turn appoint representatives to serve at their behest. Bam, speaking on EWN's Poetry King with Sidi Madia, says this is no way to hold public representatives accountable.
While Dr. Brigalia Bam still lauds the 94 breakthrough, calling it a celebration of the country's freedom, she firmly believes a series of mistakes during South Africa's formative years have led to the current downward trajectory.
Don't blame us for having done it that way, because we copied from others, but we didn't know that this system will not suit our particular context.
Bam, the eldest member of the National Dialogue's Eminent Persons Group, says the dialogue gives South Africans a real opportunity to have a say in what must happen next. This as she shuns how the current electoral system allows for accountability to be evaded.
And if you do something wrong, your party says, don't do it again, okay? We're going to continue to pay you your salary until the end of your term. Listen, don't do it again.
She says while many might be cynical, she hopes South Africans take up the opportunity to get involved in not only talking, but working to turn the country around. Sidi Madia, Eyewitness News.
Members of Municipal Workers Union SAMU are marching in Tshwane over salary increases. The union says it will submit its memorandum to municipal officials to demand clarity of the disputed increases of between 3.4 and 5.4%. The union says its members are not satisfied with what the employer is offering. SAMU's Donald Monakisi says another issue to be raised is the grading of the 2013 Metro Police intake.
Amongst these two, you've got other issues at Metro Police that has to do with the unifix for the pregnant women. We've got the 2013 intake of the Metro Police there that has been placed on a wrong grading. So those are issues that will form part of our march today.
Staying in the capital, the DA has criticized the Metro for trying to force an illegal and unpopular tariff on residents. The capital has announced it will be appealing the Gauteng High Court judgment, which declared the 194 Rand a month city cleansing levy unlawful. The court challenge was brought forward by lobby group AfriForum. Tabiso Goba has more.
The ANC, Action SA and EFF-led multi-party coalition government in Tshwane has made a big deal over how the 2025-26 budget was the city's first funded one in 4 years. In court papers, the municipality estimates that the new city cleansing levy would generate about 540 million rand in revenue per annum. The levy is targeted at over 200,000 residents and businesses that use private waste collectors. DA Tshwane spokesperson on finance, Jackie Ace.
Residents rejected the city cleansing levy during the public participation process, and now the court has also rejected this levy. The ANC coalition should accept that they cannot treat Tshwane residents as cash cows in an attempt to balance the city's books.
The DA says the city should not waste any more taxpayers' money by appealing the judgment after it was slapped with a court order, meaning it also has to pay the lawyers of AfriForum. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
And Rwanda is the latest African country that's willing to let in people deported by the U.S. The 250 migrants are part of a deportation deal agreed with Washington. President Donald Trump's administration has negotiated controversial agreements to send people to third countries, among them South Sudan and Eswatini, in order to speed up deportations. This follows a cancelled agreement with Britain under which Kigali would have received deported illegal migrants from the UK. But that multi-million agreement was scrapped after the Conservative British government that negotiated it lost last year's elections. Gold is trading at $3,353.32 an ounce. The rand is at 18.05 to the dollar, 23.96 to the pound, 20.82 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.76 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M1 South. This is between Grayston Drive and Corlett Drive. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N12 West. This is between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. While speaking of the Kilulis turn-off, an accident on the N3 South right near the Kilulis turn-off, delays from Linksfield Road.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 22 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, as South Africa prepares for its first ever national dialogue. Former IEC chairperson Dr. Brigalia Bam says the country's electoral system has to change.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Tell us what we need to know.
702 listens.
Before the president holds his national dialogue,
We're holding this one with you. The People's Dialogue.
With Clement Manyathela on 702.
Seven minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. It's the special edition of the Clement Manyathela Show this morning. We have been in conversation, in dialogue over the last 2 hours. It's the People's Dialogue ahead of the President's National Dialogue, and we've discussed a number of issues. I do want us to touch on crime and gender-based violence this hour, on health, on race relations, on housing and land as well. Just some of the issues I also want us to touch on. Remember, you are welcome to join us on 011-883-0702. We've got WhatsApps as well that are coming through that I'll get to them on 072-702-1702. Some of the comments that are coming through on the WhatsApp line on YouTube as well. Hey, Clement, this People's Dialogue, I think it's the beginning of a process of coming up with sustainable, people-centered solutions. And that's exactly what we want. Another one says, hi, Clement. That great contribution by the people there at the People's Dialogue. I like what the lady farmer said about getting rid of middlemen or rent seekers who inflate prices and get government departments to purchase stuff from the competitive free market. That's a message there from Basil. Another one says, the time for talking is over. We should have government officials and the leadership at some point listen to the concerns that are being raised by these patriotic citizens. All right, so we are back here at Primedia House, and I'm going to start with you, Dr. de Kock. If you can start us off with the issue of crime, and especially also rural crime that was raised there as well by Koketso. Go ahead.
The first comment I want to make...
Hold on. I don't think it's the mic is on there.
The first comment I want to make is still linking to unemployment.
Yeah.
How can we expect that crime, organized crime, and corruption also have a massive impact on the unemployment situation? There's not a sector in South African economy. We can take it from mining right down to farming, where organized crime is not involved. I mean, we have the Zamazamas, but you must remember the Zamazamas are just the people who are doing the dirty work down in the mines and die there. There's people up there which receive this gold and the money that's made by exporting this illegal gold overseas. So again, corruption and crime. We can take any other, the building industry. I mean, the building industry is suffering under and can't create jobs because we have this building mafia. So we can continue with every sector and we'll find some or other mafia there. I don't think all of them should have that name, but okay, we are used to use that name. So that's my remark on the previous session. I'm going to stop there. On crime, sometimes, you know, I'm listening to your station, the car radio, the house radio, every radio is on 702, and I especially listen since I wake up in the morning to you and your colleagues, and then later in the day I'm becoming busy, and then late afternoon I'll listen again. And if I listen to people who phone in and what yourself are saying, sometimes I get a feeling we are paralyzed by crime. And we don't know what to do with crime. But I think we must just go a bit back in history, in recent history, not to the old days of, let's say, apartheid history. Let's just go back and look at the 2000s. You know, at the end of at about 1999, 97, this country faced a massive crime problem. It was in the time of President Mandela. He even called a few summits. A summit on rural crime, a summit on police killings. Police were killed at about 200 per year. The same with so-called farm murders. People were killed. And then came a very determined national commissioner, which is late now, and they also, unfortunately, in the end, corruption also played a role there, with the name of Celebi. Now, I worked under him. Point number one, politics would have not been allowed in the police service. There were no factions, there were no politics. Maybe also because the appointment of certain political parties, that those appointments were not made. So politics did play a much lesser role in the police. A police officer should be a neutral person. A police officer can only go and vote for who he wants to vote and talk around the braai about politics. But if he's in his uniform or in his office, you can't allow politics. Second one, he focused on crime. The first time I met him, before he was even appointed, he said to me, if I have meetings, national management meetings, the only issue on the agenda will be crime. Because if you don't focus on crime and what you're going to do with crime, you can forget about it. Then the police service is not doing their job. And unfortunately, that is the situation. So he had even, or the president of that time, which was now Mbeki, had targets. Now my colleagues, all my colleagues will say, no, I'm wrong. Those targets are wrong because people will cook the statistics to fit the targets. Yeah, it can happen. But there's certain trends where they can't cook, unfortunately, like murder. Now, because there was a target of between 7 and 10% reduction in murder, because we were the top country of murder at the end of the 90s. We reduced murder from 25,000 at 2003, when that target came in, to just with the World Cup, it was just above 15,000. So despite the population growing, murder went down, and quite dramatically.
How did they do that?
Well, with targets, with also a approach where there was very much a focus on local policing of the station. The station must understand its crime. It must know where the murders happen. What kind of murders? Is it social murders? Is it vigilante murders? You must understand that in a place like Kailicha, when I did a study there many years ago, and I then was a witness at the Kailicha Commission, which also nothing happened with the Kailicha Commission. It was clear in Kailicha, the bigger Kailicha that time, that a third of your murders is during robberies. When people get robbed in the street, poor people who come from the restaurants tonight because they work there, and they are robbed on the bus, they are robbed on the taxi, or when they get off and they walk to their informal little hut there, then they get robbed. And they get killed because the people who robbed them are worried that they may be known. So, a third of your murders was robbery murders. A third of your murders was vigilante murders, because now the community say, no, we know who's done this. And we told the police, and the police arrest this person, but then the next day we see the person still walking on the streets. And then only a third of your murders in Kailicha. And I believe that will be the same if we repeat it today in Tembisa, in Katlehong, in wherever. KwaMashu, we'll find the same pattern. A third of your murders was other murders, social murders, domestic murders, and so on. Maybe the picture have changed in the meantime because organized crime now play a bigger role, and we have seen for the last, with the revelations that we have heard about 3 weeks ago, that it seems hit murders are also now quite high on the list. But what I'm saying is you should understand your crime at the station, and on that you should base your policing. And your policing in that days was very much a partnership between the police, the CPF structures, or your community structures, and your security companies in the suburbs like the one that we are in now. In the poorer suburbs, you don't have security companies, but at least you can have more police visibility, and working together with your community structures.
So a lot of...
and that is how they brought it. And then the other thing, and unfortunately I take a little bit, but there's two other aspects. Crime intelligence. Not only crime intelligence, all our intelligence services, but especially crime intelligence. In those days they were functioning. There were no politics. There were no watching each other because I belong to this, or I belong to no party, you belong to that party. There were no usage of crime intelligence in the politics of the day. That was not. They were focused on organized crime threats, like the CIT robbers. And in those days, we took them down, the CITs disappeared. There was a point just before the World Cup where virtually there were no CIT robberies because they were either in action killed or they were arrested. And that is how we should police. For your organized crime, you use crime intelligence. And then my last remark is we have I think today, unfortunately, of a loss of experience, of many factors, we have a problem with detective services. You see, if a murder is committed, if it happens, if we can't prevent it, then at least we must investigate, get the culprit, the person who have done it, or persons, and show to the community, you can't get away with murder. There's no way. But if we look at court cases, well-known court cases in the court now, of the soccer hero, there's no justice. There is literally no justice. And the question can be asked, even there, didn't corruption play a role? Now, at station level, I'm aware of many murders, which happen. People say, oh, this is house robbery. No, it's not house robbery. It was maybe the partner killing the partner. And it's so obvious when you read it in the newspaper, when you hear it on Radio 702, it's obvious what happened. But there's some lack. The detectives, for them, it seems it's not so obvious. And either it's corruption or a lack of experience, a lack of drive, or a combination of those two.
And speaking of a partner killing another partner, Javu Baloyi is from the Commission for Gender Equality. How do that's still a big crisis we have, gender-based violence.
Yes, it is, Clement. Thank you, and greetings to viewers and you colleagues in here. It is, Clement, because one of the saddest part that the Commission will be doing assessment, will be doing research on gendered issues, and will present them before the Portfolio Committee in Parliament, yet nothing is taken. I'll give you an example on a study called Emergency Response Action Plan on government departments. They only managed to fulfill only 21% of the targets. And that goes to show that things are not the way they're supposed to be. Another aspect, Clement, it's when the police give the statistics and they say that we have gone down on sexual harassment atrocities by 1%, and there's excitement. That shouldn't be an excitement to all of us in the country, because we were supposed to be having a National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, which was clearly promulgated by during the second presidential summit. Yet nothing has happened this far, Clement. And when you see Statistics South Africa said women in majority bear the brunt of abuse, harassment, and killing. Every day in South Africa, a soul is being lost, a girl child is being raped, churches are mushrooming, which are also perpetuating the stereotypes that, maybe churches are seen to be this safe haven for women to be raped and killed. So it's saddening, Clement, that, as a country, we need to frown at this and also hold people accountable, like Doug have said and others, that we're not holding people accountable enough. The citizenry and the civil society that was so vibrant, even leading to this presidential summit, it's no nowhere to be found. We do not know what happened. The commission has written to Parliament severally. We are working with Department of Higher Education, Dr. Mimi Gondo now, Clement, because there's a lot of rape, harassment at institution of higher learning. That's something that, when you sleep as a parent, your child might come back in a body bag, landlords are taking advantage, NEFSAS is not releasing money, and all these things contribute to gender-based violence, trauma, depression, suicide rate to some people, and also men are in majority. There's a statistics that says from Human Rights Research Council, 7.8% of men in South Africa are also affected by abuse. 5 million women do not report gender-based violence because nobody cares anymore. The police, they don't get to them. Withdrawal of cases is very high. So it's a lot, Clement, in the fraternity of gender-based violence. Every day, we do not sleep because of gender-based violence.
Have we become so accustomed to it? And I think that's a problem we have sometimes in this country, is we get so desensitized. So when something happens several times, we end up getting used to it.
We have normalized it and we have outsourced responsibilities. The principle of Ubuntu, what someone said here, the moral decay that is there, there's no longer empathy, even from the police and the compassion. So even when it's being reported by Clement, it's reported by Bongan on 702, society says, no, it's not happening to me. As long as it's not happening to me, it's happening somewhere else. We do not care. The gentleman sitting next to me here, I can relate with Tembisa's stories. The gentleman behind me, they even wanted us as a commission an award for being there in the public space. But who gives us assistance there? Because we're not implementers. We just play an oversight role.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody else who wants to comment on gender-based violence, you can raise your hand. I want to go to Terry Oakley-Smith, who is from Diversity. He's a founder and CEO. Terry, we've spoken many times about the issue of race relations. Where are we sitting right now, if we're being honest?
If we're being honest, I've been doing this work for 30 years, since 1993, and we really made lamentably little progress. I think it's for a variety of reasons, but one of the main ones, and can I just say how much I've enjoyed this morning? I've learned so much from people that I would never normally have had the opportunity to talk to. I mean, Oscar and I do very similar work, but in very different neighborhoods. And I learned from the gentleman from Tembisa, the reporter, and was kind of horrified. And it just strikes me that as South Africans of different races, we do not get together. We do not socialize. And in fact, there was some research done recently, I think 2 years ago, which shows that only something like 3% of South Africans ever have somebody of a different race in their home for dinner. And I wonder if I look around this room, how many of you have had someone like me for dinner? Or how many times? I'm very fortunate. I have a diverse family. I have black people in my family, white people, colored people, different religions. I have Islamic people, Christian people. And yes, it's tough, but it's such a blessing. And can I just say that as far as racism goes, South Africa is not really interested in dealing with racism, Clement. It really isn't. It took years to get the hate speech bill passed, and people are very, very rarely charged with hate speech. I don't know if many of you remember, I think it was last weekend or the one before, a white woman drove into a group of black Zulu women celebrating the maidenhood of one of them who just begun menstruating, and it was a celebration, a Zulu celebration. She asked them why they were bare-breasted. She didn't like their answer. She drove back into that group and killed one of the women
13-year-old.
and injured others. So we don't have a lot to say about race relations. We need to do a lot more work. We need to get to know each other. It needs to start in schools. It needs to happen in universities, churches, temples, mosques, businesses. Businesses take a one-night stand approach. Come in and do a workshop.
Diversity
And
workshop.
we've done it. We've done diversity here. So it's all performative. It's not going deep and really understanding each other.
But Terry, what about, again, self-accountability? I find that even on my show, the minute I raise that topic, oh my God, it's like I've just killed someone.
The
People
R
are
word.
so uncomfortable about it.
Totally uncomfortable.
So it's almost like when you raise it, then you come across as, why are you doing that? Like, it's like we shouldn't even go there.
You're something different. I remember years ago being interviewed by John Robbie on this station, and he said, there's something wrong with you, because I was a person that had friends of different races. And there's still that feeling to an extent. In the white community I'm talking about, there's still that feeling that, oh my goodness, she's got a child that's black. Is he adopted? No. He's not adopted. So how did you get him? So there is just, no, I promise you. And can I also say, and this is painful, and I'm sure you'll be surprised, I'm also a rape survivor in South Africa. People often think, oh, white women were safe. I was raped at Zoo Lake. So we have so much in common. But we need to get together more. We need to start addressing each other as allies, as friends.
Sisters, brothers.
Yes. And can I say, Clement, that I think it would have been wonderful to have had this in Tembisa. And maybe, I'm lucky because English is my first language. And everybody here obviously speaks very good English. But maybe it would be good to have it in other places. Not in English, where we can really hear the people, because I only represent 8% of the people as a white person. So if we really want to hear the people, let's go to the people.
And let's talk
to
them
talk
in the language.
In their language.
Absolutely.
And then we'll hear
Come
from
on.
them.
Preach, Terry. We've been to Tembisa, we've been to Sosha, I agree with you, and our plan is to do these people's dialogues, actually, and not just have this one. I see there's some hands want to respond to what Terry has also said and what Javubalo has also said. Before that, though, I just want to touch on the issue of health, because that's another one. Monwabi Sambasa is with the Truth and Action campaign in Gauteng. The issue of health is also a big crisis that we're facing. Now you've got Operation Dudula, for instance, that's now even trying to block immigrants from coming in because they're saying you are burdening our healthcare system. And to an extent, you can't argue with them that the illegal immigrants are not. But how do we resolve that? How big of a crisis is it? And is government taking it seriously?
In fact, that's a tip of an iceberg. There's a bigger rot than that, which you have just raised now. In terms of our healthcare system, is in shambles, to say the least. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to disappoint everybody here, including the listeners, is that what is promised under Section 27, subsection 1 of the Constitution, that everybody has a right to health care, is just a platitude. Because in reality, it's not the case on the ground. One, you have a public healthcare system that is understaffed, that is under-resourced, that is overcrowded. Why is that? It is because in terms of how we disseminate resources, it is where the genesis of this inequality emanates from. Because we spend 8.5% of our GDP, 51% of that goes to private healthcare, which services only 14%. And then you remain with 49%, that services 86% of the population. And unfortunately, the spin-offs of that, you'll find people waking up as early as 4 o'clock to go and queue in a clinic or even in a hospital, and then only to wait the entire day to be told that, no, the doctor is not there. Only to be told that, no, please come tomorrow. You find people sleeping on the floor. You go to Rahima Musa, here just in town, you find women giving birth on the chairs, on the floor. That is the reality that we have. If you go to Tembisa Hospital, it's overflowed, right? And you've got people that would stay in the emergency room for over 4 days without beds. That is the reality that we're faced with. Let's come to the issue that we've just raised. Indeed, you've got Operation Tudula that are causing this particular mayhem in the communities. What are the spin-offs of that? You've got people living with HIV and other chronic diseases as well. Remember, we've got a national strategic plan that envisaged to end HIV, TB, and STI by 2030. And those immigrants are the very same people we're looking for. We've got a shortfall of 1.1 million people who have quitted treatment, in other words, have disengaged from treatment. Now, if you've got Operation Tudula that cares less about the laws, cares less about the constitution. I mean, there are many ways that we can use to have a dialogue, find a way, bring government on board, find, something that can be able to sustain this particular healthcare system. Unfortunately, we've got people who are caring less. Unfortunately, they're in power who care less about what is happening on the ground.
Because they don't use the system. They don't. I mean, have you guys ever seen an MEC or minister in a public clinic, public hospital?
Absolutely. You've got another platitude which is called the National Health Act that has been signed by the president. How many of government officials, ministers, including the president himself, who's willing to quit GEMS and go to the private public health care? No one. So the reality is that we're dealing with people who are just a bunch of scammers, if you like. So unfortunately, these tensions are going to compound in the communities, and unfortunately, they're not going to be the ones who are caught in the fire again. So that is the reality that we have. So the EMS issue is just a long story, but we know the story. Both ambulances are stuck in the Bethakloa, Tembisa Hospital with no drivers because there's no money to hire, drivers or even the EMS staff. The irony about that, regardless of the minuscule resources that are deployed in public health care, we still have an audacity to underspend. 1.6 billion rand was underspent in the last financial year. Where is accountability? That means civil society needs to get on the streets as well, as treatment action campaigns we have done before in the heights of HIV, denialism by this government. We've got to do that. So in this regard, we need to mobilize communities against the very same government to hold them accountable.
Yeah, that this gentleman said, we are the government, we are the people, we need to take action. All right, there's so much to chew on, guys. Can I have your hands raised, and then we'll bring the mics to respond to any of what has been raised, and then we'll also touch on housing as well after the headlines in Eyewitness News. It's 11:33. Let's get the latest.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. As South Africa gears up for its national dialogue this month, some Johannesburg residents say the country needs action instead of expensive conversations. South Africa will convene the first national convention, which begins a process of hosting a countrywide people-led national dialogue process. But before that, 702 is hosting a people's dialogue today to hear what some of the citizens have to say about the state of the country. There has been another deadly shooting in Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape. 2 women were attacked yesterday, allegedly by someone known to them in Ngobozana village. This is the same area where 18 people were shot dead last year during a family ceremony. And the city of Tshwane has called on traders at the Marabastad market to submit their business license applications ahead of Friday's deadline. Last week, the metro shut down the busy centre because dozens of people were trading without the proper permits. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Travelling on the M1 South, we've got delays between Marlborough Drive and Corlett Drive. This is due to roadworks taking place along this route, while on the N3 South, an accident reported right near the Lulis interchange. It is causing delays coming out of Morafontein Road, while in Kaya Sand, we've got delays on Malibongwe Drive towards Northumberland Avenue. Please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. Traveling on the M1 North, some delays reported coming out of the Boysons Road exit. There's also queuing traffic on the M2 West between Main Reef Road and the Crown interchange. Please continue driving with care. Otherwise, I'm Amo Ramela. Karabojale will have your next traffic update from the midday reports upwards.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
The buses, many of them are in a bad state. From your perspective at SAMWU, how long have you been aware that this is actually a problem? What have your members been saying?
What not been aware of is that there is 2 companies that are operating in that space.
Okay.
One is Pyotrans and the other one is Litsamais. The company that is mostly affected by these unroadworthy buses is the Pyotrans company.
Okay.
So as a result, not to be operated on the system and they would then have to be grounded.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
For the glow-ups, the much-needed me time, and the places that make you feel like the best version of yourself, some salons and spas go beyond beauty. They become part of your wellness routine, whether it's flawless brows or soothing massages or just a space that lets you exhale. Now's your chance to say, I see you. So nominate your favorite for Gauteng's greatest beauty salon or spa at primediaplus.com, because Gauteng isn't just a hub of business, it's a home of excellence. And excellence deserves your applause. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko counterfuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
If you want to know about the heart and art of jazz, look no further than the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival, a grand ensemble of over 50 world-class acts across 4 stages for 3 whole days. That's right, from the 26th, 27th and 28th of September. The Santon Convention Center will be demure and sophisticated as the fine Standard Bank Joy of Jazz 2025 takes you deep into the heart, the art and splendor of jazz. Take me there. Book your seat via Ticketmaster now.
The thrill of the chase comes with great rewards in the legendary Hollywood Bets Spinner Zonke Jackpot Race. Join the run, spin selected habanero slots for fun, and stand a chance to win a share of 3 million rand. Feel the rush in the race for riches when you bet 2 rand or more every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and you can jump with Jackpot Joy. Take on the challenge and discover endless opportunities to win big. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
You work hard, you save what you can, but will it be enough for your retirement? Well, most South Africans, for them, the answer is no. This Thursday on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, Old Mutual Corporate brings you a powerful conversation inspired by their upcoming Thought Leaders Forum, tackling the retirement crisis and the urgent need for collaborative leadership. We'll discuss how business and policymakers can join forces to change the country's retirement future. Don't miss this insightful conversation on Thursday, the 7th of August, brought to you by Old Mutual Corporate on 702.
This isn't a press release.
It's not a media briefing.
It's the voice of the people.
The People's Dialogue
On the Clement Manyathela Show.
On 702.
It's 22 minutes before 12 o'clock. My goodness, so much to chew on. Crime, GBV, the issue of our race relations and health, and. So please, I'm going to ask you to spend a minute on a comment. Is that fine? Because I want to take as many voices as possible. I want to give as many of you as possible an opportunity to speak. So if you can spend a minute as a comment, please, so we can hear more from people. Let's start with you, my brother. It's off. Let's try that again. 1 2 1 2. Okay, they'll try sort it out. Let's try
1
that.
2.
There we go.
Hello, it's Lawrence again. I have a lot to say. Sometimes I can't stop myself.
I'll stop you this time.
I just wanted to mention that, race relations, it really takes the person himself to make a change. I fall within the 3% the lady was talking about. I didn't know there's so little of us. But I am
8%, eh?
No, not 8%, 3%. I am in an interracial marriage, and I've got 2 beautiful boys. So it's been 13 years, and I've learned so much, and I feel so safe in my house. We can talk about anything and say anything, and nobody would be hurt about anything, even if you talk about their nose or their hair.
Yeah.
And I wish for everybody in this country to have that feeling. I'm so happy to be part of this Rainbow Nation, and I really want to be part of this national dialogue, and I have so much to offer. I wanted to say something else.
How
but
do you have the conversations in your household or with your loved ones? Because as I said to Terry, it's like people don't want us to talk about race. And I think part of the problem is that we're too quick to label each other, right? We're too quick to label each other as a racist, or you don't want to appreciate that this is a country that belongs to all of us. So people are scared to enter that conversation because there's no space to be frank even about some things that you may not understand. I mean, I've got white friends and I always ask them, ask me about my culture, ask me about how we do it at home. Have an interest to come to the village at home, because I'm going to tell you a story of land dispossession of my family that was moved from their land, and we've been separated. I've got cousins I don't even know. And you tend to realize and appreciate the history of this country. Is it difficult to have those conversations?
Not at all. Some years ago, I was involved with a certain NGO where we did a program. It was called From Othering to Belonging, Oppressive Pasts. You can Google it if you want to. But that really changed my life. So spaces where we can sit and talk like this is where we can make a difference. And what I wanted to say is, when you ask me how do you do it, isn't it beautiful to be free?
Yeah.
You know, we just talk, and nobody would be hurt because you won't be oversensitive, because nothing that person can say can hurt me, because you can't take the truth away, you know? And I'm going to stop there, but it's definitely amazing to be part of this country.
Amazing. Please, can you give your mic to the gentleman behind you? You haven't spoken, so go ahead.
Hi, my name is Thando Luthuli. I'm coming from ABT Telecoms. I'm really here as a concerned citizen. I think in this scenario, we are very quick as a nation to say government must. A lot of these spaces, we are the ones that, one, are having the conversations or should be having the conversations. Government really should be coming in as an aggregator to these things, just to make it available to as many people as possible. But the thinking, the conversations, the thought, the feeling, the emotions that go into it should be coming from us. I mean, we've elevated people with no morality to become moral arbiters for all of us. I mean, children are being taught morality at school, not at home. That's not how I grew up. I was raised in the age of you do something wrong, the neighbor sees you, you get the beating there, the message gets home, you get the beating there, and they have a meeting about you. But in the age of new age parenting, I think we are afraid, one, to discipline children. We often mistake disciplining with punishment or torture or abuse, rather, is the word. But this is where I think as a country we've lost our moral center, because it used to be community-led. Now, I recently got robbed in my own neighborhood where I grew up for so many years because, one, I don't know the people there anymore. They don't know me. And, you know, you don't know who the people that are moving. Back in the days, you used to know, okay, that house, that's where the shady stuff happens.
Yeah.
But now it's just free for all.
Absolutely. It used to take a village to raise a child. Is that still the case? My brother, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Mfanelo again from Tembisa Online. Just thank you for this opportunity. It's wonderful. More than responding to crimes and also stories, I've learned a lot just for listening today. So thank you so much for everybody's inputs. But just to highlight, the doctor there spoke about the crime patterns. I think I will then need to pledge from the subs, especially with the crime patterns. Nobody's there is willing to listen. You know, if I am a journalist, I'm taken as this person who's at the forefront. So if SEPs are not ready to listen to me as a journalist, then how are you going to solve crime? I am not listened. Then what about just the normal community well-being? So if SEPs can bring back at a station level, as the doctor has said, at a station level, there are no longer communication officers. But you say you work with intelligence. Who is going to communicate what? Because as we have vigilantism, do you know if I post a story about a criminal being killed, 100% of people, they are happy about that. No communication, no awareness as to what you did. It's also crime because you have murdered somebody. So there's literally nobody willing to listen. So if they are taking things to a national dialogue and everything, they're at SEPs, they should revisit the structure to say, who is communicating with the community? Because they have centralized communication. There's just a story there at Winnie Mandela. Then who is going to be available for that? I'll make an example on health. On the 29th of July, I responded to a scene where I was a first responder. A lady there was a Malawian gave birth to a very beautiful and healthy a child, a boy. So when I reached there, the clinic was closed due to electricity and everything. I spoke to the lady and said, where do you come from? She said, I'm coming from Cosmos City. I was coming to Tembisa to think, because there at Cosmos City, there's this problem of barricading and closing outside because they are foreign nationals and everything. She thought there by Rabbit Clinic she will get help, but unfortunately there's no maternity arrangement. So she gave birth just by the gate. But when I reported on that story, everybody was just like, no, she must just go home. So nobody is really interested, as you were speaking about race relations and everything. So I think dialogues like this, I've learned a lot today. They need to be more of them.
Absolutely.
Jerry there spoke, Terry spoke about more of the dialogues going to the communities. There's a problem at the level of a community. Nobody understands anything. So more dialogues like what you have done in 702, I think there should be then more of them. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let's go to Edward Molopo. You're from Seri. I want you to touch on the issue of housing quickly, and then I'll come back to some of the hands that I see. We'll give you guys a chance to speak. Go ahead, brother. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning to the 702 listeners and everybody in the room. I think all the issues that we've touched on intersect at one point or the other. Same with housing. If you look at informal settlements, if you look at, the occupied buildings in the inner city of Johannesburg, that's a physical manifestation of the failure to provide affordable housing. And that comes from the issues of inequality. It's a physical manifestation of inequality in South Africa, and the issue of people not being able to have gainful employment. I think the issue, particularly in the housing landscape, if you look at it, it's really an issue of lack of implementation of the policies and laws that we have. If you look at informal settlements, there are programs that speak to upgrading of informal settlements. If you're looking at we have the RDP housing program now called BNG, and you can see that the amount of houses that we were offering or giving in the, let's say, late 90s, early 2000s, that has significantly decreased now to what we were giving there. But the need has already, it's still rising. So the lack, so the need for housing is increasing, but the supply is decreasing. And so we see people then going into self-provision, which is what informal settlements are. I just want to give two examples briefly of, just where we are seeing this issue of non-compliance and the issue of political will not being there to implement, where we could be alleviating some of these issues. There's a community maybe in Tembisa, Winnie Mandela informal settlement. We represent there about 133 households, that applied for RDP housing, were allocated the RDP housing, and when they went there to take occupation, they found other people living in those houses, who themselves were allocated by someone else within the municipality. Now, we know it's a matter of corruption because the municipality did themselves confirm in the court that that allocation was due to corruption that happened. You know, without even asking me, that no one was prosecuted, no one was arrested, no one was incarcerated for that corruption. And to this day, the municipality was ordered to provide housing for these ones that we represent. And to this day, they have not been given that housing. These are rightful people who have been supposed to have been given the housing, they have not. Second example, in informal settlement, Slovo Park in the south of Johannesburg. 10 years, almost 10 years ago, it's 2016, the court in Johannesburg ruled that the city of Johannesburg needs to upgrade that informal settlement in terms of the upgrading of informal settlements program. We are going to 10 years next year, and to this day, that process is still a long way from being, we can only speak about electrification at this stage. Nothing related to, water and sanitation still outstanding, roads, infrastructure still outstanding, and everything else. And these are I'm just giving two examples where there's a clear way forward to say this is how you solve the housing issue in this particular communities. And in both settlements, we are speaking several years. That has not happened. Yeah. What more about the ones that do not have legal representations like these other two, and where people are basically having to fend for themselves?
And some don't even have access to radio stations like ours where they can raise those issues. All right, please let's take the mics at the back over here as well. I'm going to come, I'll start with you, and then we'll go at the back. It's 8 minutes now before 12 o'clock. Let's do that after the break.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
You said that some people believe that the clinics and hospitals are overcrowded.
I'm on public record that you can't have people that we don't know who they are in our own country, where they come from. We can't document them, and we don't know their activities. That's a major security risk. But if we want to resolve that matter with a piecemeal approach of saying we are closing clinics and hospitals, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I don't think that we are dealing with the problem. Illegal immigration does not mean people that are coming from Africa alone.
Premier of Gauteng, Manyathela Show.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Celebrate Women's Day in style with exclusive platinum or golden standing tickets to see Grammy Award-winning singers Anthony Hamilton and Joe Thomas. Enjoy complimentary seating, dedicated bar areas, restrooms, and the freedom to bring your own picnic blankets for a relaxed, unforgettable experience. Happening at the iconic DP World Wanderers Stadium in Sandton, they will be joined by South Africa's multi-award-winning singers, the incomparable Zonkes, Java and Vusinova. Get your tickets now on CompuTicket or webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Soulful Night, Vertex Events, and 702.
And there you go, your favorite latte, hot and ready.
You never disappoint.
Listen, did you see that email? God, it's going down. Let's catch up later. Got another Zoom meeting.
Oh, okay, cool.
Later.
Meet our audience. They are working, living their lives, sharing stories, and always listening. So if you're going to interrupt them, it better be good. Prime Media Broadcasting Sales. We help you connect with every productive, innovative, and dynamic individual in our audience. From the open plan office to the executive suite. Contact us at advertise@primemedia.co.za today.
Dear Journal, day 3049 of trying to be an adult. I still haven't bought a recycling bin, so there's a mountain of cans in my kitchen that could collapse at any moment. Anyway, what's that saying about your home being a reflection of your mental state?
Got evicted from the family home? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Dear Mr. President,
Lend us your ears.
the people have something to say
The People's Dialogue
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
All right, 5 minutes before 12 o'clock, we're just about to wrap up the People's Dialogue. I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds to speak, no longer 1 minute. Is that fine? And I've got the timer here, so when I start doing this, you must know your time is up. Go ahead, brother. That's not on. Let's try it. Yes, there we go. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Peter Mnete from Gauteng Housing Crisis Committee. So, because of time, I think, I will just add on my brother from Seri about the situation that we are facing from the Gauteng South. I think I can relate to the situation of Slovo Park, because I'm just from Freedom Park. So we had marches and we fought for houses, RDP houses, in 2015. And we were given in 2016 by then the Minister of Human Settlement, Lindiwe Sisulu, and I think Paul Mashatile was something in the housing also, human settlement. They said they had a plan to build 48,000 houses, RDP houses. But till now, it's only 3 months. They just started now to build those 48,000 RDP houses. However, there is a lack of consultation with the community. Community is online, doesn't know anything. And as much as they started now, apparently we just heard that they are starting with the bond houses. So which means it's going to be mixed houses. It's no longer RDP houses. And mind you, the community is not even consulted. So the brother from Kagiso also spoke about the developers having the upper hand, the investors. You know, this issue of building the investor confidence. Now they're prioritizing building the bond houses other than the RDP. And mind you, it's been long. I mean, since 2015 until today, we are still waiting. However, when they start the project, they start with the bond houses.
They forget about people who have been on the list on that RDP houses.
Exactly.
All right, got you. Over there.
Okay, thanks, Clement. Good morning, everyone. My name is Simeon Mashego. I do research on land and youth. So I see time is not on our side, but yeah, let me just make a brief presentation that I shared with Parliament last year proposing a youth land ownership in South Africa. In the main, the objective was to try address the crisis of youth unemployment, because I think the future of this country, South Africa, is land-related economic future. So we have a crisis of youth unemployment, we have the issue of transformation. But in the main, we need to flood young people into land-related economic sectors. Because if I can ask all of you here, your parents, and ask who's going to be the employer of your kids who are at school now or universities, you expect white people to hire your kids. So I'm saying, let's give youth the land so that we give them financial assistance, so that we can create a 10, 15, 20 years long-term plan for our country, so that in the next 10 years, 15 years, we know that we have young people who have a good relationship with the land, have experience working the land, not only agriculture, but all land-related economic activities from A to Z. But you don't have time, Clement, anyway. That was in the main, the proposal is sitting in Parliament now. But in the main, go and tell young people that they deserve to own the land. Land is not a matter of adults only, because young people, they need to start families. They need to be economic participants, like you were saying earlier, that we don't just train them to go to school and become workers, but they need to have a good relationship with the land.
Yeah.
So we need a starting point to achieve the promises of 1994. So in the main, I'm saying the baseline for that objective is if we promulgate the youth land ownership policy.
Got it. Thank you so much, brother. Go ahead.
Hi, Clement. I just wanted to really appreciate, on behalf of the NPC, to say that these are all issues that literally are reflected in every chapter of the NDP. And so we're looking forward to being a part of more of these discussions where we can also hear emerging issues and how we need to change our mindsets from only, if we go back to the point on the economy, only looking to jobs as a way in which people can integrate into the economy, but looking at other ways in which we can integrate new ways of integrating into the labor market. So entrepreneurship, we spoke about, the NDP has got a target of 90% of the jobs in the country coming from SMMEs. So how do we remove red tape to make growing businesses a feasible target? We spoke about targets as well. The NDP really said that we are really not doing well in terms of our socioeconomic targets, but also how do we transition young people into labor markets? How do we look at the skills that they are applying in the digital economy as experience to go into the formal employment opportunities, not just looking at experience, tangible experience and qualifications, but the experience that young people are having within their digital application of tools as things that they can be traded to go into labor transition. So not just looking at jobs as the one-stop avenue to get into the economy, but entrepreneurship and looking at other ways in which young people can apply their skills into the economy. So we're looking forward to participating in more of these dialogues, especially in the people-centered platforms like it has been said.
Yeah,
now.
people-centered. Yeah. Look, I want to say as well, as we're just about to wrap up, that there are so many issues that have been raised, including what you've raised about young people and being given land. And part of these conversations is that we've got to also pick some of the issues here and talk about them on the shows. And that is the opportunity that we want to have, because we don't have dialogues that are people-centered. We have outsourced our responsibility as the government. Gentlemen from Tembisa said we are the government. We've given these politicians, many of whom are so immoral and corrupt, and we think they're leading us to the next chapter, and we are the people to lead ourselves to the next chapter. Thank you so much to all of you for coming through. This just scratched the surface for us. We've got plans to take the people's dialogue to their communities. We'll do more of this in this room as well. So I hope you'll come back to join us as we have more of these conversations. Thank you so much all for you for coming. And thank you for listening and watching on YouTube. Thank you for listening to the People's Dialogue, the special edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. We'll be back again tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon. I'm Bali Dlamini.